Hi. Yes. Thank you all for coming here and being here with me and with each other on this Tuesday evening before Pride. I just wanted to get everybody together for this queer quarterly to talk about what we're about to get into, the life of the night. As we know, our identities are politicized more than ever, and we've taken upon ourselves to make our nightlife spaces a space for infrastructure and organizing and safety in the midst of it all. So I just wanted to make sure that we're also talking about it in the daytime and are as aware about these spaces and the people that are making it shape for us in this community. So give ourselves a round of applause for being here. And again, my name is Ethan Rabb. I'm a Reflective Democracy Associate here at One Hood Media. So I'm just here to make sure that we are reflective of our communities that we often minoritize and ignore. And with that said, I'm going to introduce our esteemed panelists for tonight. We have some amazing artists, organizers, creatives here to share the seat of the table with us tonight. And I'm going to take y'all through them. So our first panelist tonight, give a round of applause every time, okay? We have Harrison Apple. So Harrison Apple goes by they, them pronouns and is the co-founder of the Pittsburgh Queer History Project, an archiving and oral history media project preserving traces of the city's underground after-hours social clubs operated by the LGBTQIA community. The project focuses on offering free and affordable preservation to community members, as well as producing public programs for intergenerational socializing over historic media. They received their PhD from the University of Arizona Gender and Women's Studies Department and have published their research in Transgender Studies Quarterly and Archivaria journals. Please welcome Harrison to the stage. I need y'all clapping loud like it's an LSS. What happened? We got a ball this weekend. Everybody say, hey, Harrison. Yes, you have a mic right there for whenever you're ready. Our next panelist of the night is the esteemed Rojo of Twirlville. A daring DJ, event curator, and community leader, Rojo has claimed a permanent position in Pittsburgh nightlife with fabulous ferocity. The Steel City native continues to spread their infectious and funk-infused sound through various nightclub residencies across town, including but not limited to Cobra, Brillo Blocks, and 5801. Stirring up house, disco, and electronic grooves, people cannot get enough of Rojo's mojo, overflowing with gender-bending, attitude-packed, mood-boosting sets that leave a good taste in the mouths of their audiences. A rising star here, Rojo's light is also beginning to shine on other parts of the U.S. They've shared stages at festivals and nightclubs with renowned artists like Big Frida, Trixie Mattel, Rebecca Black, LSDXOXO, and beyond. So aside from being a badass behind the DJ booth, Rojo also nurtures two blossoming queer BIPOC affirming dance parties called Twirl and Hot Stuff Disco through their music and event collective Twirlville. Each event produced by Twirlville serves as a celebration of individuality, love, and liberation. And if you see here through the slideshow, you'll see the next twirl coming up. Oh, the next twirl. Okay, so make sure y'all are here and queer. Beat us there, don't meet us there, okay? And welcome Rojo to the stage. Everybody say, hey, Rojo. Okay. Yeah. And then our last, but not least, panelist of the night is our esteemed Honey XO. Partially known to the government as Honey Young, aka Honey XO. Honey is a DJ and event curator, soundtracking and producing events via the Most Beautifulest Collective, which was founded in 2017. Bred in New York and currently based in Pittsburgh, Honey's work in music and the visual arts is rooted in exalting Black women and queer, trans, BIPOC communities. As a co-founder of Honcho's Queer Fam Fund and a Honcho Campout guest curator, as well as a consulting on diversity outreach for other festivals and institutions, her mission is to expand visibility and access in nightlife as a cultural worker and is a through line in everything that she touches. Beyond Pittsburgh, Honey has played Brooklyn, LA, San Fran, Philly, Detroit, Chicago, Puerto Vallarta, and Morelos, Mexico. Her festival creds include Honcho Campout, Somos, Desertopia, Bajadora, and referred to as a rising star by LA's Muy Muy Limited and Pittsburgh Staple by Resident Advisor. Her sets are best described as highly danceable and completely genre defined. Club, house, hip hop, techno, global. Anything with a nasty beat, you name it, and embedded in blackness can get it. Please welcome Honey XO. Today's at the top. Everybody say, hey, honey. And also, before we get into it, thank our beautiful interpreters, Josh and Charity, for being here, making this event accessible for us. So, before we get into the questions, I also just wanted to hear you guys take us through how you got to where you are. Like, what work did you do? How did you end up being in a position for me to ask you to be here? And we could take it down whichever way you want.
Just making sure this is on. Okay.
Okay. Hey, everybody. So, I didn't expect to ever think of myself as a queer historian or like a historian, period. I was an art student. I moved to Pittsburgh when I was about 18. And I was really obsessed with archaeology, and I ended up going to this field school in Guatemala where I was working in the jungle and helping do excavations and drawing these ancient structures. And because there's this anti-malarial medication that you have to take when you're living in a tent, you get these really crazy dreams. And I had just come back from performing a lot in Pittsburgh at little weird kind of cabaret spots. Like I used to perform at the Blue Moon a lot, and I worked a lot with Susie Silver, who started TransQ Live. And I started to have these vivid dreams about excavating nightclubs that I loved and places that felt like home. And when I came back from the field, I started thinking about like how do you apply this, and I met the people who had started Via New Media Music Festival. If anybody remembers Via from way back when, yeah, so like Lauren Goshinsky and Quinn Leonowitz, the ELDI gave them a lease on a space in East Liberty for 1 year and 1 year only. So all these events that used to be scattered throughout the city were under one roof. And it was a really, really great year, but it took so much work to make that space beautiful. And I was one of those people that was helping clean it. And I brought my plumb bobs and my line levels and my lasers, and I was mapping out because they needed a linoleum estimate too. So I was like, oh, I'll map out the space for you. And we found all of this stuff that had been left behind, and it was old flyers and bootleg CDs and lost wallets and club cards. And I started chasing down who I could find who remembered any of this. Sometimes you could find the person who had lost that material 30, 40 years ago. And it turned into this oral history project, and really quickly there was these patterns emerging. And to sum it all up, there was this memory, this collective memory that was not connected to people my age. And I felt like there was this massive gap. And so ever since then, the Pittsburgh Queer History Project has been, how do you make a bridge about this memory gap? Like, how do you learn to share that stuff? And one of the ways is the preservation, the stuff that I can do for you or anyone you know, where we capture tapes and make them digital, scan photos, help you describe things in an organized way so you can find them again. But it's also just giving people the permission and the motivation to be in the room, be in the city, be in the world together, because that's not given, right? Like, having a relationship with the community is something that you have to invent. You do it as a DJ, you do it as a promoter, you can do it however. And I think of that as my art practice to this day. So that's how I ended up here. And then one of the things I got to do with that was a summer school with Bekazela Mguni, where we got to give these grants to people, including Ethan. And to tell them, like, I believe in what it is that you do, and I want to see you do it to your full extent. And this will be a chance for you to kind of go slow and figure out why you want to do this and how. And that's where I'm at right now.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Hello, everyone. How are you, everybody in the audience today? Are you guys feeling good? No? Weird. No, it's okay. So, hi, my name is Rojo. I am a DJ and event curator, among other things, here in the city. How did I get into this, and why? Why is you talking to me? Okay, so we're here today to talk about really nightlife, but I do have like a really storied sort of history here in the city. I'm born and raised here in New Kensington, Westmoreland County, if you guys are familiar. And I was a journalist on TV actually here in the city. I worked for Channel 2 KDKA TV News for about 4 years. Before that, I worked as a news reporter in West Virginia. I feel like I'm holding this like I'm about to sing. Let me let me put my broadcasting experience to work. Yes, do the no, but so yeah, so that's sort of like my first act as I describe it. And I've been DJing now for about 5 years, and I've been removed from journalism in that capacity. I actually still do some freelance work with One Hood, specifically around election season. But I've been removed from news life, local news life, in that capacity for 3 or so years. And so at the time that I started DJing, I was really leading a Hannah Montana lifestyle, as I describe it, dead ass. Because I would go to work and I would put on my suit and my tie and go stand at fires, or I don't know, talk about stocks or whatever I was doing that day, and then I would go get in the car like it was the Batmobile and sort of lay back in my seat like this and put on my like denim and my cunty, tank tops and shit. Put on a little smoky eye real quick and smudge it in the car mirror. And so anyway, at the time that I started doing this, I was really looking for something. I don't know that I was so much looking for something new. I think I was more so trying to rediscover something I had lost. I consider club culture, nightlife really my roots, because I owe a tremendous amount of credit to nightlife and club culture for my queer discovery as a Black queer person. Growing up in New Kensington, and that's why I mentioned that, was I was one of one. I mean, there's not many. It's not necessarily like a hub for queerness and arts and culture or whatever. And so in my class, or even just people that I knew, oftentimes I was the only queer person, or at least Black queer person, that I knew of. So I started coming to the city at a young age, and I would come and party. We talked a little bit about this earlier, and I would come and party at Club Zoo and at Old Smallman Street. I don't know if you guys remember that. And so anyway, I was lost at the time. I was searching for something, and I decided I had lost my mom, and I was lonely, and it was me and my dog, and I was in this career that I sort of felt isolated in, and I felt like just sort of a stranger in my own life. And you just kind of look around, and you're like, oh, bitch, what are you gonna do? And so I started hanging around my friends more and coming out to the club again, and like getting back in community. And essentially, uh, I don't even remember what was my first gig. Okay, so basically I don't even know necessarily where the idea of like I want to be a DJ started. But I mean, I've always been inspired by uh people like, I mean, Honey. I used to see Honey perform before I actually was a DJ. We talk about this sometimes, but I introduced myself to her once as sort of a fan, and this bitch paid me dust, honey. In her defense, it was like a busy night. There was like power was going out. It was a bad time. It's okay. But now this is my wife and one of my best friends, and I love her. But yeah, so I needed an outlet. Do you know, like I just was really in search of something, and in order to get to the other side, right? Because I felt like I was so stuck, and in order to get to that other side where I needed to go, I needed like a ship, like a bitch needed a vessel, honey, or whatever. So I consider my DJ career almost as like my little bamboo raft that I made on this like deserted island to get to where I needed to go to safety. And So I started just tinkering as an art form. I grew up in a musical household. I've always been obsessed with nightlife and dance culture and house music, which is something I sort of specialize in as a DJ. Is helped me discover my queerness at a very young age, and sort of making correlations between queer culture and dance music culture, something I sort of identified. And anyway, I'm rambling at this point, but that is essentially DJing became that vessel for me on how I could get to this other place that I needed to be. And I started doing it as just a sort of at-home practice, like a bedroom DJ, as you know, we all call it when you're first starting out. And I was on Instagram, and again, all my friends are artists and musicians and photographers and DJs and music producers and things of that, painters and things of that nature. And so I I posted like an Instagram story or something of me DJing on a controller that I actually borrowed from somebody who worked at the news station where I worked, because they were a DJ too. Yeah, yeah. And yes, and I posted this video, and my friend Dominic McDuffie, who I don't know if any of you in the audience are familiar with Dominic, but Dominic is a former Pittsburgh resident DJ, event producer, responsible for parties like Curfew, and Oasis, and a few others here in the city. Was like, wait, you're really good. And he was like, you should come and do a set at my party called Curfew. Like, do this. I think like you should just give it a try. And I'm like, are you sure, bitch? Like, I'm just fucking around, really. I just, I'm just trying to let off some steam, you know what I mean? And Cole's like, you tour, bitch. I walked up into, this was at Casa de Brazil in Holiday Park, RIP. Great, really cool spot. If you guys never had the opportunity to go, I'm sorry. But it's a Brazilian restaurant. You walk in and then you go down these stairs and you sort of like, you can hear a little bit of the sound bleeding from the outside. It looks like just a regular old Brazilian restaurant. And you walk through, you see the dining room off to your left, and then you go down these stairs and you just hear, and the music just starts to like intensifying, like swell as you get down this staircase. And there's this like, I remember there was like a fabric like tablecloth curtain thing that separated the entrance, and then you go in and there's this little speakeasy looking nightclub. Is really cool. And anyway, that was my first gig, and I tore. And I just gave it, bitch, my all. And it was just really cool to be celebrated for in that time, in that space, for things that I were how do I say this without like being sued? It was nice to be celebrated for the things that everybody in my life leading up to that hadn't always celebrated, if that makes sense, if we're all on the same page. And I'm like, wow, like I can be queer and black as fuck and queer as fuck and wear my crop top and march up in this bitch like I'm that girl, honey, and have my hoop earring on and queen out and just give what it needs to give. And people are interested in me and celebrating my authenticity in a very authentic way, and like a really real and rich and rewarding way. And it was like a high, and I never wanted to stop, and I never stopped. After that gig, I started getting booked all over. And DJ Shu, another DJ, former now New York resident, hit her up and was like, "Hey, you need to know this kid. Like, you know Rojo? Like, have you ever heard of Rojo?" No, I don't know Rojo. Whatever. She didn't. She just know what she said, but she didn't know me. And no, she was like, "Oh, I know that light skinned cutie, whatever, Butch Queen." And and then that's how we met. And so anyway, to wrap all of this up in summary, and that's like a little bit of my background, but to wrap this all up and why I'm here today is because and all of what I said is important to where I'm trying to get now, which is I desperately needed something at the time that I got into this business. And it has been so healing and rewarding for me. And I found what I was looking for in terms of getting on that other side and like finding that thing I had lost. And it's changed my life. And I've never stopped, and I never want to stop. I'll be 80 years old, bitch, walking up with my walker, fresh tennis balls, honey, turning it out for the children for as long as I can. And I never want to stop. I have met some of my best friends in the entire world in this business. And so I now, several years into this, am creating the spaces that I needed at the time that I was searching for it. And I would go to places like Jellyfish or Cherry Bomb or Hot Mass or all of these other queer celebratory spaces to find what I needed, and I found it. And so now I'm hoping that like that's my contribution, that I can have just a small share in that, and sort of returning that back. And hopefully people, when they come to my events like Twirl or Hot Stuff Disco or anything that I do, I could be DJing like, I don't know, a damn opening of a trash can, a dumpster. I hope that people can find space, because that's what I'm trying to create, is space for people like me who needed it. So that's my story.
Check, check. Oh, this got some power to it. Okay. First of all, if you all see me wiping my eyes or sniffing, I have my allergies are terrible, so just please excuse me.
It's
Also,
that
this
season.
yeah, this is now my support pillow. I love that there's a pillow here because I'm gonna have it here the whole time. My name is Honey. I moved to Pittsburgh from New York City in 2014. Um, Only knew my family. My mother is from Pittsburgh. Moved back here when I was in college. And I actually ended up coming to Pittsburgh because my cousin Damon Young, he's a really fantastic, like nationally known writer. He kept telling me about the artist grants that was available in Pittsburgh. And at the time, wait, hold on, I gotta adjust. Okay, boom. I was a creative director and a visual artist. So if y'all, by the way, ever see our flyers, I've designed them. Nobody ever believes me. Like I had a whole life before music. But so I was doing that. That almost looked dirty. Let me not do that. So I moved here. Really just thought I might be here in a couple years just to like reconnect with my mom, because me and my mom was cool, but I don't think, but not nearly as tight as we are now that I live in the same city as her. And I thought like I'm gonna be in Pittsburgh for a couple of years. Let me get some of these artist grants, and then I'm gonna maybe move back to New York, maybe move somewhere else. I don't know. Well, 12 goddamn years later, I am still here. And the reason I think is at first I did find a lot of success as an artist. I did end up getting Advancing Black Arts in Pittsburgh grant twice. Thank you, Heinz Endowments and Pittsburgh Foundation, which allowed me to buy a new expensive camera, on my new camera lenses. So then I started shooting nightlife in Pittsburgh first, doing freelance for like Pittsburgh City Paper and publications of that sort. However, music has always been a passion of mine. When I was back in New York, I was working for BET for 4 years. I worked for Vibe Magazine for 3 years. So I've always been in the music industry, just kind of on the more like art director side of it. But all my friends was DJs. All my friends threw parties. Like that's really easy to find in New York, though, to be honest with you. So I've always been interested in learning how to DJ, but every time I would say it to one of my friends, they'd be like, "Girl, no, like you know, like we don't need any more DJs. Your art," and that is true. No shade. New York does not need another DJ at all. But and they're also like, "No, honey, like you have your lane. You're like the girl. You're the artist. You," and I was like, you know what? Yes, that is who I am. But then when I came here, um, when I really started finding myself, because at first I was just looking for like, where are the black people? So then I found, I found the niggas, and I was like, cool, okay, where are the gay people? And then I found the gays. This is all like over probably like 2 years, because also at this, my son was like an infant at the time. He was like not even walking when we moved here, and he's 13 now, which is freaking crazy. Um, so now I was like, okay, I know where the black people party, I know where the queer people are party, and I was like, now where are the black queer people? Bueller. And they were like, we don't really have a black queer scene, but we have like images. So then I started going to images. RIP. Honestly, it was fucking ratchet as shit, but I kind of missed that place. But it was kind of just became apparent to me throughout years of being here that there wasn't like a black queer nightlife scene. There wasn't any like parties that happen on a regular basis. So I'm saying all that to say, to exemplify that I didn't just move here and decide, well, I'm gonna do this, because I actually don't like when people do that, like get to a new city and just don't like explore or research who's already there. Because if I found something like a Most Beautifulest when I moved here, I would have just joined them, been like, hey, I'm a really good artist, kind of want to learn how to DJ as well, love music. very good at like, good at talking to venues. Like I had all those skills. DJing was just the only thing within the music industry I didn't know how to do. So then Ace Hotel Pittsburgh opened, and in Ace Hotel New York, like Questlove used to DJ in the lobby. What's the man Q-Tip used to DJ in the lobby at Ace Hotel New York. So when I walked in, I asked, like, "Hey, is there like a entertainment person here or someone that like curates events?" And they're like, "Yeah, his name is Aaron Clark." So that's when I met Aaron Clark. If you don't know, he's a part of Honcho. He started Honcho. So me and Aaron became like cool. And I said, "Hey, I think you should do like lobby parties." He was like, "Yeah, that sounds great. Do you want to do one?" I said, "Yes." So I called my boy in Atlanta, and I flew him out here because no shit, I didn't know any of the DJs yet. And we were just really good friends. I thought it would be exciting to have him here because he's a pretty big deal. Um, and that is how sort of me throwing parties in Pittsburgh began. Um, and then I actually was throwing parties with my cousin Damon for a while, which was hilarious if you know him. He's like really shy and doesn't talk to anybody, but he knew everybody. And I just needed that, I needed somebody that knew a lot of people at first so I could kind of get my foot in the door with the actual crowd. So that is actually how Most Beautifulest began. It was not called Most Beautifulest back then. It was called Darkness is Spreading, which is a Chappelle show joke that nobody got because I realized like, oh, okay, everybody coming to these parties is like 10 years younger than me. You've never seen Chappelle show. And we don't like him anymore, so fuck him. But so I started throwing parties first, which I also think is an interesting way to start as a DJ because a lot of DJs start the opposite. And I think that is part of what helped me become successful a little bit more quickly. I didn't know that at the time, but kind of already knowing how to talk to these venues, already knowing how to book DJs, already knowing what DJs should get paid. Already knowing how to connect with talent and just having that skill first and then going into DJing, I think really was like good for me. So my very first gig as a DJ was at Ace Hotel Pittsburgh in January 2019. Learned the equipment, I think maybe a couple days before. It was actually DJ Femi's old controller that I learned how to DJ on. I really sincerely thought that would be my only DJ gig. I was like, I just want to know how to do it. I just want to see. And yeah, fell in love, addicted. I was like, oh, hold on. Like, I don't know. We might have to keep doing this. Thankfully, just like Royce. And again, this is something that a city like Pittsburgh rather can afford opportunities more than a place like New York or LA, just bigger cities. Where you can just be like, well, I think I want to DJ now. And people are like, okay, girl, come play my party. Like that just does not happen. I don't know if like Pittsburgh, people who have never like lived anywhere else know that Pittsburgh really will afford you a lot of opportunities very quickly. And I'm very grateful to Pittsburgh for that. Pros and cons to it, but for me, it was a big pro. So then that is literally how I started DJing. I thought I was going to do it once and it just kept going. Um, Also grew up, like Roy said, in a very musical household. Like I was very like I don't even remember the first time I saw Michael Jackson in concert. Y'all, there's pictures. I don't remember, but that's kind of what the kind of parents I had who would just always take me and my older brother out to shows. Like I literally grew up going to concerts. And then of course in New York, you can't really walk anywhere without stumbling into a free concert. So I'm like already had music in my life, but the part of me that is fulfilled, honestly, as a DJ is something I could not have imagined. And again, if I would not have moved to New York and just took my time kind of exploring the space I wanted to be in here, then I wouldn't have found like really what I feel like is what I'm supposed to be doing in life. Um, and also, I think what really like solidified, excuse me, for me, like the DJing and nightlife portion of my life here was also just the people that I met here. Again, I do cite Honcho as a big part of why my first taste of success in this city, because they were already really successful. And then also they're white boys, so they have like a different reach. And I'm really appreciative to them for like the opportunities they gave me. But everything else came from just wanting to create a space that didn't exist here. And I felt like I needed it. I started meeting a lot of other Black queer people who were like, yeah, child, like, there's really nothing. Like, sometimes people will have Black queer events, but they're very few and far between. And I don't even know if they're events. They're not really at the venues. They kind of in the hood spots, and it's just not really my vibe. So if there is something like that created, I think I would really like that. It took like a very, very long time to actually establish Most Beautifulest is what it was. And even I would say during the pandemic, child, when I thought like, okay, grand opening, grand closing on that, we started live streaming a lot, like at least once a week. And because of just my previous experience with like BET in particular, I already knew how to live stream. I knew how to set up the lights. I knew like the equipment I needed. And we honestly, I think I got big as a DJ more than anything over the pandemic. I didn't realize how many people were watching me and kind of clock in like when the doors open again and when we're booking again, we got to get this girl. And that's also how I started traveling as a DJ so early in my DJ career. Like I was playing I played Honcho Camp Out like 8 months after I started DJing. So yeah, just right place, right time, child, but also just having the passion, being familiar with community, asking people questions, not wanting to step on anybody's toes, having humility, and then just really wanting to build the spaces that I was passionate about back in New York, and something that I felt like people could use here is why I started doing it. And now to literally like look back, especially like when everybody, nobody believes I'm gonna move. I am one day. When at some point I am gonna move, but I will always come back here. I always will still have seasonal events in Pittsburgh because the community that has built itself around mob. Like I won't say that I built our community. I didn't. One person cannot build a community. The community built itself around an idea that I had, and I'm so freaking grateful for that every single day. Some of my closest friends as well that I met in Pittsburgh and beyond Pittsburgh, I've been able to bring so many brilliant DJs here. And now they like love Pittsburgh. They're like, girl, I would have never come to Pittsburgh, no shade, if I didn't know. And they fall in love with our community. And we come here. And this is DJs from LA, from Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit. Like I bring the girls here all the time. And it's not just because they my homies from other cities. It's really because I drove me. You got it in your crotch.
Do you want to trade?
No,
Should we trade?
no,
Okay.
it just scared me. I didn't know if I
Me
did.
too. I'm like ghosts. There is a racist,
The ancestors
ghost,
are here.
homophobic ghost out haunting this. They said, "Shut this bitch off."
That was such a negative turn from what I was going for.
Oh, you were going with the ancestors are here.
Yeah, something.
Okay, sorry. I was going from the
Yeah.
somebody's trying to shut you down. So you think it was a positive? What are you?
Okay,
Whatever.
Shut up.
All right.
You
Positive.
should never have me or
Ghost.
Royce
Good
on
spirit.
the
Good
same
spirit. Good spirit. High spirit. Ancestral spirit.
Husband.
Goodbye.
Me and Royce on the panel is crazy already. Anyway, I don't remember where the hell I was. Other than, I'm very thankful for the community that has built itself around the mob. It is like the great passion of my life, actually, to be in nightlife in general. It's not just partying, but it is though. And there's nothing wrong with partying. It is the tea. There's nothing wrong with wanting to go and let loose, especially again, we're all like Black queer people. It's just very important for us to just have some freedom to be able to twirl with each other and not have to like worry about all the fuck shit that's happening beyond these doors right now. So yay to nightlife. I never thought I would be I always was a party girl, no shade, but I never thought that I would be so in love with nightlife at this point as an industry. There's a lot of things I cannot stand about it, but I'm very proud of what has been built around the mob in this city. I'm very proud of seeing people like Royce who did come up under me. Not even under me. Do you know what I mean? Just started later. Sorry, that sounded so country.
Daddy.
Just the newer people to this industry, I feel like seeing their trajectory even in this city now is just not something that I think would have happened 10 years ago. So to have like helped to lay the groundwork for that, I can't like wait to keep returning to Pittsburgh 10, 20 years from now to see how much it's even continued to grow. I think I answered the question, child. We all talked for 80 minutes. It's time to go.
You're good.
Thank you, Ethan.
The point of this question was for y'all to take us through there, the journey, what have you. So I appreciate y'all for, taking us into that. But one thing that kind of stood out to me as you all were taking me through there were some spots that folks might not know, some names, some venues, and what have you. And it just got me thinking about temporality of spaces and grounding of space. And I wanted to ask y'all, one, can you give us a little more on those spaces, however deep you want to go with that? And also, can we talk a bit about the trend of spaces and in Pittsburgh specifically? Because, in growing cities, there's always going to be those implications about third spaces disappearing and what have you. But Pittsburgh obviously has its unique shade. So if you guys care to talk about that at all.
I have plenty to say about that for sure. So, the place that I was talking about that we were digging trash out of and cleaning up to be a new nightclub, the address was 6119 Penn Avenue. The building is gone. It's a hole in the ground. It's next to the Say Their Names mural in East Liberty, catty corner to Target. And that place had been in after hours since at least the 1950s. And the only reason I know that is because, like they're a horrifying company in so many ways, but Google had scanned tons of newspapers and made them free to the public, and you could search the text. So I would be looking up addresses and I'd find like liquor code violation, liquor code violation, that's all you ever learn is liquor code violation, serving somebody underage, sex in public, drug trade, whatever. And like, yes, all these things are fabulous and yes, they all do happen, but like other things happen, life happens. And what I learned is that this wasn't just like any other bar or club. So like, I don't know how many of you have ever belonged to a private club, or if you have like a parent or a grandparent who belonged to some fraternal club, maybe like, if you ever watched the Flintstones growing up, there's the Royal Order of the Water Buffalo. Like this is the same thing technically. It's the Elks Lodge, it's the Moose. This is a licensable entity under the U.S. tax code that lets you collectively own a space or rent equipment and collect dues and use all that money towards whatever you're going to do. So I looked in the newspapers about this place and I just find a bunch of citations. And I find way too many names, like way too many names to be attached to the same place. And they're calling themselves, veterans of foreign war post 698, or they're calling themselves cabarets or La Familia or whatever. And it matches some of the stuff that I'm seeing on the ground, but it doesn't tell you anything about it. So I go to the recorder of deeds office and I start looking up like, okay, what does the city know about these places? And again, it's like not a dead end, but they're not telling you anything. A lot of these places were chartered around the same time, like in 1933. Does anybody offhand, does that date mean anything to anybody? It shouldn't. It's like a fun, weird got you. The end of Prohibition is like right around 1933. And so I started finding newspaper articles around that time too, where they're like, Pittsburgh is about to enter the club era. All these people are going to the civic courthouse and they're like, I want to incorporate the Lepus Literary Guild and the Knitting and Inside Straight Club and the Hazelwood Athletic Association. And the reporter goes like, I don't think it's because of the popularity of the bingo game. Because like bingo's a club thing. It's a fundraiser. It's also like just barely gambling. And I think the official published rules for bingo, by the way, were published in Pittsburgh first. Wow. Yeah. And Pittsburgh was there's a lot of firsts here. It's an old city. It's an older city, like not the oldest, right? Because we're not the East Coast, like colonial era kind of dating things old, but it's old. So anyway, I'm obsessed and I start making this like nocturnal map of the city that's going from, decade to decade to decade. And I'm watching places open up and close and open up and close. And it turns out you can pick up a charter and take it from one location to another, the way that you might know a club owner who's picked up roots and left and gone to another part of the city. And it's really hard to track people down. So I started focusing on like, okay, what do I want? What I want is to feel like I was there. So you have to find somebody who was. And at first I'm finding a lot of people who are like, I'm sober now. Let's not talk about that time, which is relatable to myself. I haven't been drinking for 4 months. It feels awesome. No downsides. But the people that I was talking to who were lucid then, which is rare, had a lot to say about how like this was a time apart from the everyday life. Like what you were talking about, how like you can just go and nothing that's happening outside really matters. Like it's all still there. And what's happening outside is happening in the club. Anything that happens at a ball, anything that happens at a nightclub, it is happening in Pittsburgh. Someone will hear about it. It will come back to you. So, like be friendly. But the people that they remembered, they were talking about how this space felt really permissive, and they talk about how like you could have queer sex at this club that wasn't known to be gay, or you could pick somebody up there, and there was like this expectation that it's like a mutation in everyday life, like new things can happen. So I started to read these things differently. Like if I saw a seal for an old Legionnaires group, Legionnaires is the disease, but it's also the name of that club because it was found in their HVAC. So much club history. But like you'd see this thing and it's like a code, right? So there's like codes that we all know. There's like slang, but there's also old codes that everybody used to use. Like, I don't know if anybody has a fan, but there used to be a whole thing. It's like, this means I'm single and this means I'm married, but I'm broad-minded. And and sometimes your fan just breaks. And so I'm looking at these things and I start to pick up on like, when does a club mean that it's more than what it says? And it turns out it's pretty much all of them. Like, I don't think there's such a thing as a disingenuous club and a real club. Everybody is doing more than they say. It's like a rule. And I started looking at other people who were focused on clubs. And there was this famous photographer named W. Eugene Smith, and he used to work for Time magazine. And in the 1950s, very early 1950s, he publishes this grand photo essay of Pittsburgh, and it's just called Pittsburgh. It's like not creative, but it's a lot of stuff that we recognize. It's the mills and it's the smoke and the furnaces, but it's also, and it opens with this, and this laid me out. It is pictures of two different doors. And one of them is the Duhane Club downtown, which is a club, by the way. It's a private social club. It's just what determines membership there is extreme wealth and racial segregation. Like those are the two absolutely things you can count on there. And the other one is this chipboard door with no window and a little doorbell and a handwritten card next to it that says, "Please be prepared to show your membership card." And it reminded me of what we saw when we came to 6119. Someone had very beautifully painted lettering, like hand lettering, right? That said, members only, no drugs, no guns, no fights. Which is to say, like, there have been drugs and guns and fights. And we don't want any more. So that space, 6119, had a storied past. A lot of it's murky. Like things don't come from where you think they do. And I think I really learned that in archaeology. You're digging up stuff that's 2,000 years old, which also like, I didn't want to keep doing that. There's so much wrong with imperial extraction and colonialism in archaeology. I had to leave. And also you can make tens of dollars in archaeology. So if you're not already like ready to go. So I started looking at all this stuff that I had and expanding it. And there was this one wallet that was found in the way back. There was a VIP section. There was a slightly elevated plywood stage and some aluminum foil stars and like some high top tables.
Oh.
And the walls were this like scintillating ultramarine bluish purple. And a bit of it had dripped on this thing that we found back there. It was a wallet. It was a cream faux ostrich skin wallet. And I found like CPR certification and social security card and pictures of this person's family. And also a card to another club. And it was called Travelers, an avant-garde nightclub, which it turns out was chartered in like 1945. And the list just says, for people who like traveling and like showing pictures of their travels to each other. Now, I don't know about you, but the words avant-garde and like hobby club don't really mix. So I go back to those Google News archives that I'm talking about, and it is a deluge of results. And it turns out there was this really fucked up raid. Can we swear on this microphone? Okay. There was this really fucked up raid on Valentine's Day of 1988. And the state police and the city police and the assistant fire marshal, who people in the city were already nicknaming Rambo because he would show up to safety raids in fatigues with a gun. Like, you're an assistant fire marshal. What are you doing? And it turned out what they were doing is they'd been going around the city. They've been shutting down after hours places. They were really concerned about cleaning it up. We're also in the midst of what's called Renaissance 2. Again, Pittsburgh, so much creative work. Who's naming these redevelopment campaigns? But Renaissance 2 was trying to make downtown what would become kind of the cultural district and the convention center. And they want to wipe out Liberty and Penn Avenue from the Point State Park to the Heinz History Center. And they create the Penn Liberty Holding Company as they're buying up properties for like 10 years. The Penn Liberty Holding Company becomes the Cultural Trust, by the way. And that's why if you ever hear someone complain about working at the trust or like, why is there all this vacant space? They're kind of, they might be better known as a real estate holding company than primarily an arts organization. So it can be tough to get them to see things the way we want to see them. So anyway, there's connective tissue between all this stuff. What I used to think was just like disconnected spots on a map. It turns out it is a very beautiful mind, red string, conspiracy theory map thing. And all these people have ties to these locations, and it was travelers' time, apparently. And it wasn't just that they were an after hours club. It wasn't just that the city's trying to become family friendly for a new like global business class. It was also the height of the AIDS epidemic, the crisis, really, right? Like people do not have antiretrovirals. People are dying really quickly. The public is believing a lot of hateful and inaccurate, paranoid, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Propaganda about how unsafe it is to allow a queer person to be near you. And how you can't be near somebody who has HIV and you can't be near someone who has AIDS. And so these people that come in with their fatigues and their gun and their state badges and whatever, they are yelling shit like, get away from me, faggot, and telling each other, make sure you wear gloves when you handle her because you don't want to get AIDS. And they throw these people out in the cold. Remember, it's February. It's February 14th, 4 a.m. And they are out there for hours with no access to their coats. They can't get in their car. They can't leave. People are devastated. And the club owner, Robert Johns, he's better known as Lucky. And that is the same Lucky who opened Lucky's in the early 1990s. So what happens is that Lucky and his friends who have been doing this, it turns out when I'm reading these articles, for 30 years with no incident like this, they take the state police to court and they lose everything. No one's buying it. They're a blip and it's over. And all of a sudden, all these other clubs that I start learning about, they're all run by people that came up with Lucky. They were his janitors, they were his bartenders, they were his customers, they were his friends. They all start changing over their licenses. Anybody who's like got a lawyer, who has enough money, who has the time. Donnie from Donnie's Place is one of those people. He was Lucky's janitor in the 60s at a place called the Transportation Club for commercial transportation truck drivers of Pittsburgh or gay sex. Which, if you think about it, right?
Do you travel?
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff. Randy Forrester, who was the first gay person to run for city commissioner, he used to hang out at cruising spots like truck stops and hand out like sandwiches and negotiate with the cops. He was in it for everyday people. I really loved him. And he passed away a long time ago. He's one of the co-founders of PERSAD. So him and his husband, Jim Huggins, wanted to start what is the second in the country LGBTQ mental health clinic. Their first one's in Chicago. So all these places are connected and they're shutting down and they're changing, they're adapting. But what I learned is that if I wanted to understand this place, I had to learn how to read again. Because it's all codes, it's all little bits of information. People only tell you what they want to tell you. And it was really hard to get people to trust me because what do I know about shit? Right? Like I didn't come up then. And then also you think about like being a young queer person, it's sort of taboo in mainstream culture to be a young queer person with older queer friends. There's all this suspicion about how that's not right, about how that person's going to influence you negatively. But fuck that. You have so much to learn from people who are much older than you, people who you don't even need to party with, but people who you just want to know. And it grounded me in this city and it made me really care about these people, but it also made me aware of how difficult they can be to love because they're just other people in the city. And when the other thing about timing that's crazy here is when y'all two were talking about, like moments when your career in Pittsburgh kind of kicks up, we are like two ships in the night. So I started digging around in this nightclub in 2012, and I did all of this work trying to hustle to catch things before they disappeared. And I learned a lot along the way, some great, some horrible. And I got recruited to a PhD program in Arizona to work with this woman, Susan Stryker, who's a trans historian, a really total powerhouse of trying to get history like this possible. So you can like get paid, $10,000 a year as a grad student to do your project, which was an amazing, privilege. But I left in 2015, and then I defended my dissertation over Zoom during lockdown, which was like so much drinking. And when I came back, it was this new world. There was both of you. Bruce Chan was everywhere. Like, had never heard of this man. But he works with the city and he's like a blur. And so I was just I was taken aback by remembering that everything changes so quickly. And what we think is ours is going to be outdated tomorrow. And so it really matters how we translate things to people, how we take intention with how we share information and get people on our side to care. And listen to people that are younger to you as well, because you are not right about everything. And that was one of the hardest conversations I'd have with people about old spaces, was especially about racial segregation, because these older Pittsburghers would be like, I'm Italian. And I'm like, you're white though, right? Me too. And but that makes them uncomfortable because, end of the day, bars sell drinks, right? So nobody wants to be told that they're doing it wrong because you need people to want to come drink at your place. You can buy alcohol almost anywhere in the city, despite the state system. And yeah, I would read about people's kind of dissonant memories about this time, and I would do programs, public programs. Like we threw a septuagenarian, that's people in their 70s, drag ball with my friend Miss Connie and her friend Jojo. Jojo was the last living member of the Pearl Box Review, which is a traveling drag troupe, and her drag sister was Dorian Corey, who you might know from Paris is Burning. Yeah, they used to call her the Chunga, and she would snake dance with a real life snake, and that snake would get into their couch and the car and like scare the hell out of people. Point being, them and their friend Bobby were the first person I'd so tone deaf. I'd walk in and be like, tell me what you like about Lucky. And they're like, he did not like Black people. And we'd have these honest conversations about, how one-sided a lot of the people's memory in the city can be, because those are the people who wanted and were able to, and sometimes don't have the choice, but they stayed. And so when we talk about nightclubs and accessibility and who gets to take risks in Pittsburgh, it's always worth asking, for whom is it easier to take a chance? Who has access to property? Who gets trusted really easily? Yeah, and that ended up playing out in the idea of who's a club owner and who throws a party. And then I think about things that have come out more recently, although this was actually quite a while ago. Brian Broom's Punch Me Up to the Gods. Has anyone heard of that book? He talks about, Pegasus, but he also talks about Presley's. Does anybody know Presley's? It's long since closed now, but it was on Hamilton Avenue in Homewood, and you wouldn't know it from the front, but it was a Black bar for like gay men and gay women. And he talked about how, in the book, he talked about how his brother really preferred Presley's and he really liked Pegasus. And I thought that was a really interesting way for him to talk about this conflict of like, where did the Black people party and where did the queer people party? And how are both of them always racially coded, and what can I do about that?
Yeah.
And so I'm doing an event tomorrow and the day after where we're going to be going through some pictures from Pegasus. It's one of 4 albums. This one has like 450 pictures in it. And we're going to be doing descriptions, because if you can't describe them, people can't search for them. And then it just becomes locked up. So if you're interested in coming, I want people to come and look at these photos and describe them the way that they see them, and keep these things in mind.
Yeah, that's awesome. Also, apparently there's I don't know if I can say it, but there's a bar, queer space here in the city that actually has the old leather booths from Pegasus. Did you know about that? I'll tell you more about it later if you don't know.
Yeah, which one are you talking about?
It's allegedly Club Pittsburgh has their original booths.
Oh.
Yeah, allegedly.
Wait, from Pegasus?
They're like orange. Yeah, they're orange and they're like cracked from Pegasus, apparently. But
yeah, so Pegasus also is one of those places that had been a nightclub for like 100 years. It had been a supper club. Actually, Christine Jorgensen, who was the first like international transsexual celebrity, she went on a nightclub tour because she was running out of money and ideas, and she premiered in Pittsburgh because she got in a fight with somebody in Los Angeles or in Las Vegas. Yeah.
So, okay, I want to talk about spaces. Do we have time to talk about spaces? So, first of all, I will say going out, just from that perspective, like me not working in nightlife, when I first started going out in the city as a 21-year-old legally allowed to be in these places, we lost Element, Images, Ultra Bar, kind of Brewers, but like maybe not. I think they're open a little bit. Those are just queer. Donnie's is another one. Form of fucking protection circle around Lucky's. Like, those, any Charmed fans in here? I'm like, I need me and like 2 other baddies to like take some fucking crystals and place a Charmed level protection shield around Lucky's, because they are holding on, and like, thank God for that. Some of the observations that I've noticed, and this is just me as a nightlife, not a nightlife professional, but just me going out here in the city, a member of the community. We all have different, I suppose, reasons why we choose our favorite bar, our favorite club, our favorite restaurant. And a lot of us form really personal bonds with those places. And, you have, like, we all sort of say it amongst each other, like, oh, That's a 5801 gay. That's a P-Town gay. That's a Lucky's gay. And, like that's real. And it's this sort of like paradigm or whatever of just like of queer spaces and where you position yourself in that timeline. And, when places like these close, like people make a choice as to why they're going to go and support a particular business. And so they, again, become attached to those spaces. When those spaces close, the community fades. There are so many people who I came up with in the queer scene that I used to specifically see at Ultra Bar, or I would specifically see at Images, or specifically see Donnie's on occasion, or whatever, upstairs at Donnie's. There, or downstairs was for people who like to travel. Just truckers. But so anyway, like I was hopping around, I was curious and eager to I was so excited to be here. Like just you're young and you're 21 and you just want to hit up everything and see, meet different people and see like what's my vibe? Where do I fit in? And so you meet people along the way in your journey. And it's sad because when those spaces close, you don't see those people anymore. Because why now? Because Donnie's is closed. Do I suddenly become a 5801 gay? Like, how does that work? And so it just sort of shutters in on itself, or closes in on itself rather. And so I miss a lot of the people that I used to see at a lot of these places that have closed. And now working in nightlife, what did I talk about? Casa de Brazil, Cobra is in my bio. Doesn't even exist anymore technically. I don't even know. Brewers was a place I used to DJ a lot, and they closed for a while, and now they're back open. I'm sure there are others that I'm forgetting, but I think spaces and them disappearing, and you spend a lot of time, Harrison, researching the history of a lot of these places, and I think that that's one thing that we often forget is the history. And so the spaces are important. The people who are in the spaces are important, but also the narrative and the reason why those spaces exist are equally as important for future us. Because just like everything else, the truth gets whitewashed and erased. And we are pushed further and further into the margins, when it's really Black queer people who are the purveyors of a lot of the shit that many people enjoy. Dance music, I said, house music, really any genre of music, but specifically, underground queer culture and dance music culture was created as a space for Black queer people, or Black and brown queer people to and trans people to fucking exist, right? Just to have a space. And just like many other things that are sort of colonized in this country, down the line, our history gets erased, right? And our contributions are erased. Nobody knows that. And it just sort of sits void for a while. And there's this thing happening, but it hasn't necessarily been, I don't want to say well documented, because as you're not easily, but you are able to find some of the history, but we don't always know how things started or where things came from. And so as the spaces die, and the people go with it, other things come in and neighborhoods change, and all of a sudden you're just looking from the inside out. And that scares me a little bit about, generations of Black queer people that do what we do have been experiencing this forever. But that is my worst fear, that what we're doing and the spaces that we are creating will be co-opted, and not so much that we won't get the credit for creating the spaces, but really that people like some of you in the audience in the future you might not know that these spaces exist for you, and that right? Because if you think about what was happening in New York and Chicago, Detroit, in the 80s, when late 70s, early 80s, when dance music was really being crafted for the first time. Imagine that, like, being like, right, like it could be like you and I right now, and it just sort of being co-opted by like straight white people who think that it's cool. You wearing snapback hats, white people gotta hold on that. They start wearing that. They steal your swag. They steal your everything. Whatever. It's okay, and I like it's a celebration is one thing. Colonization and like co-opting of people's intellectual property and appropriation is a whole other thing. So I suppose when we're talking about spaces, I think documentation is really important. We're all on social media now. We're photographing, and we post for the timeline. But even me, I host parties, and I suppose you want to promote your party, you want to promote your event, you want to show people who was all there and what the looks were, and it's sexy for the timeline and engagement and social media content. Feed the machine, but in that, sometimes I feel like even myself, and maybe you guys feel the same way, you lose the purpose behind why we document things, like why we take pictures and why we record videos. It's to archive it, to show people in the future that like we were here. It's a time capsule. And so I think like I don't want that to get lost. What's cool when you look back at things, and I think why we cling to nostalgia is because nostalgia there was so much purpose, like when it comes to why people would take nightlife photographs back in the 80s, or why people would take pictures on film or whatever, because it wasn't just documenting, it was also people experiencing it like for the first time, and there was like just so much more protection, I don't know, surrounding what they were doing, I guess. And I just don't want to be a throwaway. I get concerned that like we're so caught up in the hustle and these spaces close, we all post RIP Brewers, we'll miss you, whatever, and then we move on to the next thing, and that's it. And I just don't want us to forget when spaces fade away, and when we, the people who the spaces belong to, become elusive, that it's never lost, that like this is why we're here, this is how we got here, and yeah, otherwise, I don't know, like we're just gonna be spaces for like bachelorette parties and curious straight women, which I love. I love curious straight women. Just don't bring them. Leave the men. Leave the straight men away. Leave them at home.
You have any thoughts on this question, honey?
I don't even remember what the question was, to be honest. I was fascinated by this whole thing going on over here.
Well, Rojo and Harrison were really taking us through with my question regarding just your take on spaces and time in Pittsburgh, like whether it be you could take us to memory lane with certain clubs you might remember that the audience here might not be hip to, or you can really think about the implications of that as well when it comes to how spaces have faded in and out of Pittsburgh. But you also gave me a good question for right after that. So, any thoughts?
I mean, I just really miss Ace Hotel Pittsburgh. I feel like people get really tired of me talking about it, but I just feel like it was only open for like 4 years, but there was just something really like special. And I guess it didn't even have to be housed at Ace Hotel Pittsburgh per se. But that being said, that was the old YMCA, so that was already a historical ass building. Like there was already a lot of just like historical and important things that happened there in that space itself. But that space in particular, I will say, yes, it is sad when places close and we lose like a slice of community through that. However, I will say I really miss Ace Hotel to this day, but the people that I met there and the things that I was allowed to try there and do there, I still run into those people all the time. I still work with them. I'm still really good friends with them. Some of them work at other venues here in Pittsburgh. A lot of them have moved on to other places. I'm talking like Josh Bondi, what's her name now? It's Pissy now, not Pissy Mattress. Jay Barlow, Maxi Pad, met him working at Ace Hotel Pittsburgh. Oh my God, Lex, that then went on to Hot Mess, Aaron Clark with Honcho. Like,
Where was it?
it was in the old YMCA in East Liberty. What is right there? Oh yeah, now it's the Maverick. It's like a robot hotel. Like you don't even check in with the human. Um, Whitfield, boom, that's the street. Wow, my brain hurt for a second trying to come up with that damn street. It's in East Liberty off of Whitfield. There was a social status right there on the corner. I don't think that's there anymore either. But yeah, it was just like in my opinion, a perfect like moment in time because so many people there were just and like I was just throwing events there. I didn't work there officially, but a lot of people that were servers there, bartenders, worked in the restaurant, were even on like the cleaning staff. Everybody just kind of like found a way in those like 4 years that excuse me, that we had at that hotel, and it never come back after COVID. So I really miss that place. Images, I can't really say I miss Images because I just didn't go there a lot, but I do appreciate like the people that I met there as well. Lord knows how I feel about Cobra Close the Child. I made like 4 goodbye posts to Cobra. Now we're opening Cobra again Saturday night, by the way. If the flyer comes up, that's my first party. That's the one on Sunday with Kayla, who's in the back. Wave, Kayla. Kayla, the bartender back there. And then the one that comes up saying Scissor Pride Night. We are going to reopen Cobra for one night only, but I think it was actually when Cobra closed. I was like, Lord, this is too much. Like that shit pissed me off so bad because I'm like, bruh, like there's not that. And I know this question is on your list, so I'm not going to go deep on this, but it is actually so hard to program events in Pittsburgh for Black queer people. It's hard for when you're doing it for Black people, for sure. Like Ari Cole, my brother. So I know a lot of the struggles he had before. Everybody and their mama want a piece of slappers and bangers now, but that didn't used to be the case. It's also really hard to thank you. Got my emotional support pillow back. I know that it was hard at first for even like Jellyfish, who again, Jellyfish can throw. You talked about a garbage bin. Jellyfish can announce a party in a garbage bin in 5 minutes, and 500 people go show up. But honestly, but it is very, very difficult to be the intersectional person in between a jellyfish and an SMB still to this day. And that was like a big reason why Cobra closing just pissed me the hell off because I don't even need another hand to name the places that will literally like treasure our presence at this point. Everybody else, not so much.
So it sounds a little daunting. I'm looking at all of y'all young queer whippersnappers, and I'm like thinking like I'm not really hip to a lot of spaces as well, and I know that a lot of y'all aren't to all these worlds and generations and time skips and what have you to Pittsburgh queer nightlife. And it's daunting to hear that this is the trend. But at the same time, I do think that there are some common grounds that we find within all of these different generational eras. And it is, again, that sense of safety. You mentioned DJing being your life raft to a safe space. And clearly, the powers that be are out to get us. They try to make a switch of how we permit to get a space. They try to raid us, whether it be 50 years ago or last year.
It's happening now. They are raiding the clubs now. The after hour spots here in the city, the queer spots. Look, they're on that ass here.
In real life, like some of y'all might not be hip, but last year we did a Queer Quarterly P-Rate edition. We had the commissioner, the LGBTQ rep of the police here talking about how they raided P-Town. So like it's happening in real life. That's what I thought you were describing at first. And lo and behold, it's almost 100 years ago. But
Kayla can speak on that in the back. Kayla was bartending when P-Town got raided.
Not an eyewitness,
Yes, I was there too, but they literally had to pull her ass aside. That was traumatic.
Everybody say we love you, Kayla.
We love you, Kayla.
But all that's to say, there is still that common ground of safety, even in the midst of all this temporality and transience and traveling. And how do we maintain safety in our spaces? And if you want to get into that word accountability also, how do we maintain that when they're trying to erase us, whether it be by replacing us or by just ignoring us because it's a little too risque to touch on? How do we make sure that we're safe and we get to do all that we want to do?
So the T is we cannot make sure. That's kind of the sad part right now. I used to say like this is a guaranteed safe space about my events, but I don't say that anymore. It doesn't mean that I'm not doing like every bit of my due diligence to make sure that's the case. But I also want people to practice like caution and their own like accountability in themselves when they just really just wake up in these days. Like I don't even want to say leave the damn house, Breonna Taylor. Like none of us are ever truly 100% safe is the fucking sobering thing about it. But again, our nightlife scene was built out of these kind of circumstances. So I do at least I probably could be doing more, but I'm never done learning. Like the moment I feel like I'm done learning, just take me out of here because I always want to listen to other people's feedback and like research new things and talk to my other friends that do exactly what I do in other cities about what they're putting in place. Cause child, I was DJing in LA when the ice shit really started heating up out there. Like that weekend, like helicopters. I'm in the pool because I'm like, I'm not trying to be insensitive, but like, I ain't got no swimming pool in Pittsburgh. So I'm like, all right, we can't really go anywhere. Like, me and Kay was always going to Santee Alley to like shop and see our like little homies out there. They were like, nah, ain't nobody out in Santee Alley right now. So we were just like, let's just get in the pool and just chill. Just 8 helicopters above. So like obviously throwing parties in LA was crazy around then. Also around like even the fires out there. Like yeah, they be going through it in LA, y'all. If it's something not on fire, they got fucking people around rounding up the goddamn like the immigrant homies. Like it's whack as shit. But one thing I do, first of all, this is gonna sound obvious, but the security that we tag into our shit are about that life. They are about that life. Um, Even at Scissor, you know, I try to have like an all like sapphic staff at Scissor, but I be tagging in the biggest niggas because they, first of all, like they just big and strong, but second, they are about that life. They're about us. They're about our community. They are passionate about protecting us in particular. So that it starts there. Also, when I need to, I tag in a white man. And I'm like, you are not, you don't have no control over this or nothing like that. But if some shit pop off, you need to go outside and talk to the boys. Done. Sometimes you need a white man. I hate it. But if they about that life, they will go outside. It don't never need to be my black ass going outside dealing with the popo. Another thing is just having at least some kind of like plan with the venue. This has happened more lately with the ice raids, where now there's things like the whistles or where's the back door. Like there are venues. I'm not gonna say which ones, obviously, and I'm not gonna say what the plan is, but there are now plans in place on how to sneak people out of places that are being raided, and I'm very grateful to be able to be in conversation with venues about that. And besides that, I'm cold. Sorry, I'm shivering. My teeth are shattering. I'm really going through it today. Nose running. I'm like,
Up a little bit, just a little bit.
I'm sorry. My voice
Please,
started.
please no, please. I'll give her mine. I'll give her my heat. Don't turn it up. Don't turn it up. No.
But other than that, safety also can be from other people, you know. So we always communicate within like, especially like the afters and the things that's a little more dicey. Like there, we have a like just come find anybody that works for the staff. Me, I don't give a shit if I'm DJing or not. Kayla, anybody in the mob, Ivy, Mo, Lauren, Kai, find us. Don't try to handle like something popping off by yourself. You do not have to do that. If you want to, you can. I'm not your mama, but you can always find a member of the mob or anybody at the venue, door people, bar, and they will take care of whoever is bothering you. And that's non-consensual touch. That's somebody making you feel fucking crazy. That's leering. Like we have. I'm not even gonna say a lot of rules because it's really not a lot of rules. A lot of it is just home training. But that's the kind of thing that we at least try to do to make people feel like they can be comfortable in our space. But again, safe is the word that's hard now. Like, I mean, ain't nobody sneaking no like peace up in the spot. You know, we search bags and stuff like that now. But other than that, I just want people to be really aware and like accountable to themselves first. And second, it's just all the other things we have in place. Like we have, you know, like in New York, they call them floor monitors. And they wear armbands. We don't do that here because we don't want them to be as identifiable. But we do have people watching out for our crowd at all times. I'm glad that people have been comfortable enough to tell me that things have happened because otherwise I don't know. Like I'm DJing, there's lights in my face. Like Roy said, the first time he spoke to me, I walked past. I probably did. It's loud. I can't hear. I'm on a mission. I'm probably like, I had DJ in 30 seconds, so it's not even purposeful. If anybody actually has ever come up and tried to talk to me in the club, you're like, honey, is that badge? I'm like, I swear I didn't hear a word you said. I didn't hear you, or I was just like, somebody might have just told me some shit was popping off. So there's always something going on. So I know some people have come and told us afterwards about something that happened that made them feel unsafe in particular. But other than that, it's just like a constant conversation that we have to have with our community. There's people banned from mob events. I can't control what other events they pop up to, but there are people who can never come to a mob thing again. I don't care if it's outside. My boys know what you look like. And that's just kind of what it is. Because the sad thing is, yeah, we got to worry about the police. We got to worry about homophobes, transphobes, racists, ICE. But there also we have to worry about certain members that are in community with us as well. So kind of sucks, honestly. But we're resilient as people, and I think the difference that I always talk about with my friends that throw like more like the hetero type shit is they like the difference I think between my parties and y'all's, honey, is that your parties really y'all all seem like your homies. I'm like, some of us don't even really like each other like that, but the tea is we do feel like we are in community with each other though. We do feel like we have at least somewhat of a basic like commitment to keep each other safe if somebody from the outside comes in. So that again is just like a constant conversation you have to have. But it's also the vibe that you create and the vibe that you maintain. If that means that certain people can't come to the function anymore because the vibe is not correct, then that's what it is. Like gatekeeping is important, and sometimes, and gatekeeping is very important in times like that when the party, it's not just about the pictures that you take and the videos that you post the next day. It's really about how people felt and the fact that people keep coming back after, like, we're on our 9th year now. There's people that have been coming to mob events since day one, or at least since they turned 21 legally. Because I've had people celebrate their 21st birthday at my party. I'm like, nigga, you've been coming to my party for 2 years. What you mean? What? I didn't say their name, but I know 3 people in particular I think about right freaking now, but they were always safe. And so yeah, that's all. I don't have anything else to add. I might think of something else because it really is an important topic that we're constantly like checking ourselves on. It's just how to make it as safe as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. It is pretty much just like any other industry. You should constantly be learning, thinking, applying critique, paying attention. I think that the difference between like what Honey and I do versus some of maybe like the bigger, more like corporate parties or things that you might enjoy, which is nothing wrong with that, but we work a lot more intimately with the community that we are building, and I think when you are creating something from the ground up and you have this sort of like grassroots operation and you're building community, it is so much more involved than just like booking a DJ or what does the lineup look like? Are we going to have drag? It's so much more than that. It is also about how you market and being very like me, like this is me creating safety for my events from Twirlville. Making direct asks, like casting my net and being specific about who this party is for. For example, Twirl. The next one is on June 12th. Wink. Yeah. Everybody pull out your phones right now. I'm kidding. No. Oh yeah, hey. But I have made posts. Twirlville is my events brand. Is what I host all of my parties from. And Twirlville is a sort of it was an idea that I had of like a destination for people who needed like refuge to be. I spoke earlier about needing refuge and creating that space, that safe space. And so, first of all, when it comes to the community, we could easily just be DJs and go and play music, at the bar or whatever the fuck, and that's it. And we would just go play the music and have a good time, and that would be all. But we're world building and creating spaces, and thank you. And that's because our mission is deeper than that. Like, yeah, it's about partying, and yeah, it's about having fun and all of these other things, but it's also about like we have a platform, and we have been sort of gaining recognition for our work as DJs. Well, what else can we do? And so we've created these worlds. And I personally will say that you do always have to be sort of like thinking about how things are changing, and like different approaches to different things. And Twirlville, anything that I do via Twirlville is, yes, it is predominantly for queer people and BIPOC folks, but it's not just that. It's really for anyone who like is longing for that space. But if you are not putting the, if you're not putting the LGBTQIA plus of it all, honey, into it, if you're not a queer person or a Black person or a brown person, it's not that the space isn't for you, but like you need to know your sort of role in this world that I've created. And so with that said, if you are going to come to these functions, like straight people go to honey shit all the time. Straight people come to my stuff. I actually like some straight people. Isn't that wild? How about that? I actually like straight people. I know. Thank you. I needed to get that. I needed to
Safe
unpack
space no
that.
judgment.
Thank you, guys. But so anyway, like, yeah, I know. No, but so anyway, I say that to say like, it's for anyone. Like, you don't have to necessarily be like Black or queer or trans to come to my functions. But you do need to have some respect. You need to know your place. And if you're going to benefit from this thing, you need to show some humility and respect. And that means honoring the people who are here, honoring who this is for. And so I think that's part of it, just in terms of like creating your avatar, people that you want to show up, and being intentional and specific with that. And then yeah, there are the other harm reduction things of like making sure, like the venues that you work for. There's so many politics involved in like what we do, and how we do it, and how we get access to even the venues that we have, and like the dancing and shit that we got to go through to even have people agree to like have us there. And so like yeah, like when Cobra closed, like they were down for anything. They really were good at putting the not necessarily like responsibility, but like the privilege or duty, I suppose, of like curating events into the hands of the community, and like allowing it to be a community space. And so that it's about like selecting your audience. It's about being specific with your audience, being specific with your venue that you're working with. And of course, having the other things, like we have to think about ICE, and that's where we talk about like pivoting, thinking about that and how that is affecting our work, and how do we respond to that, and what do we do? What's the action plan? Does the venue have an action plan? Where are the exits? Like all of those things matter. So you need to also be aware. Like there's like a large sense of awareness. And then yeah, who the fuck is up in this bitch? Who all gonna be there? Like, girl, if you acting crazy, at my party or whatever, you cannot come back. Like, if you make people feel uncomfortable, whatever the hell, then you should not be here. Like, if you're gonna disrespect the space, or ultimately like disrespect me and like what I am doing, like you need to go. And so it's about, like I said, the difference between like what we do versus some of the bigger corporate things is we work very hands-on, very intimately with everybody involved. And so because we're building a community and we're a part of this community, like we're not like, June is here, we need to find some queers to come in here and turn it out. No, like this is our life, and and we and so we also benefit, like we have a direct benefit from the spaces that we're making. And so we need it to be safe for us too. And so therefore, like, we're all in cahoots. You know, like, if you come to my parties, you can come to me and be like, mother, you know, auntie, whatever, as some of the children do. I'm not even that old. I'm not even 30 yet. I know. I'm not even 30 yet. And people are like, mother, auntie. Somebody today said that. I don't even know who it was. It might have been Ryan back there. Somebody. Say it was giving auntie. I know. People all the time say I give auntie.
Oh, no, I did say that today.
Yeah, honey. So it's the big cuffs and my hair store hoops, bitch. You know, the bamboo earring and whatever. But whatever, that's fine. I'll be your TT. You could be a hot young aunt. All right. So yes, and yeah. So come to me. You know, that's the other thing. Come to having an open line of communication with your people, and come to me if somebody's fucking with you, whatever, or you have a problem. You know, come to me. But also be generous when it comes to this too. Like, mind you, we don't necessarily who gonna protect us. You know, like, I do have to say that too. Is like, oftentimes we're really laying it the fuck down, y'all. We be going to bat with a lot of these venue owners, and so, like, some cases other promoters, but not necessarily. But a lot of the times it's the venue owners and people of that nature who are in charge, bar managers and stuff like that. And we have decisions to make all the time. And so, yeah, I think just being patient and, like, generous with us, like, we're not always going to get it right. That's the other part of, like, I think mentioned accountability. I think accountability is also knowing, like, you're not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to get it right. Sometimes you might make a stupid decision, or maybe, like, not everybody's going to fuck with the choices that you make or whatever. And it's just constantly having to straddle and doing this, like, straddling the fence between making sure you're able to keep this thing thriving, keep this thing going as, like, a safety net for people who need to come here, while also doing the, you know, like, the song and dance for the people that you have to answer to allow us to have the keys to some of these places. It's fucking exhausting and it's confusing and it's really hard. It's not easy. So yeah, the whole reason I started throwing events was because I needed money, and I got offered to. I had gotten my contract was not renewed at my previous job, and the only thing I knew how to do was play music. Well, that's not the only thing I knew how to do, but, like, that's the thing I was doing at the time. Was like, okay, well, at least you got DJ, and so that's how I got into throwing parties, and so I've learned a lot. I kind of thrust into it. Like, it was actually Brewers specifically that was opening up this club called the Underground underneath the bar. If you've been there, you probably have dust in your lungs from, you know. I know. I feel like I'm. What's his name? Squeaky from Toy Story 2, the penguin. But you know. But so anyway, they had generously offered me to come there and curate some stuff, and that's how I started throwing. But it just happened. Kind of when you're doing the right thing and you're not a piece of shit, falls in your lap sometimes. So that's how I started hosting parties, and I've had to learn a lot along the way. So Honey has a lot more robust experience in terms of, like, her, you know, time in this. But I lean on her. I'll be like, hey, what you think about this? What you think about this? Sometimes I don't listen. Sometimes I'd be, you know, be like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want to do anyway. But I do. Call your friends. 50-50. Call your friends, you know, like, it's about that. We're all in community with each other. Have somebody you trust, bounce ideas, and whatever. I hope that answered the question. How do y'all feel? Like, does that make sense to you guys too? Like, yeah. All right.
You have any thoughts on this one?
I have plenty to say, but I really need a bathroom break.
Go piss, girl.
Y'all want a 5-minute bathroom break?
Yes.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute bathroom break, and then what we're gonna do before we open it time check. We're at 8:00 now. So once this bathroom break happens, I'm gonna really just speed through, like, 2 questions if we can. So we're gonna do a speed run, and if we're lucky, we're gonna get the last one, and we're gonna open it up, okay? Because I'm not going to 9 with the questions. We're gonna open it up for you guys to also share any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, topics if you want to get into it. Okay? So
Anyone
back in 5.
Anyone have a flask or a bottle of alcohol in their car? Like a cocktail.
Well, y'all gotta step outside the porch. You know, it's a no liquor venue.
Kidding,
But
guys.
as break time is now, but Show of hands. Who here's like a 5801 gay?
I think I might be a
5801 gay, say hey. Oh, you're just gay? You're a traveler. Lucky's gay, say hey. There are no Lucky's gays here? Oh, you're a Lucky's gay daughter. P-Town gays? No P-Town gays here. Images? Images gays? Oh, okay.
I was an Images gay. Did you ever go, Ethan? Did you ever go?
I didn't.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to include you guys. I just wanted to include you.
Okay, y'all. So we're going to be getting back into it. If you're here, say queer.
Queer.
If you're queer, say here. Okay. Whose streets?
Our
Right. Okay. So we're going through a little speed run before we open up for y'all to ask questions. I just wanted to ask y'all, and y'all could do in one word and then really and dive back into it. Like it doesn't have to be just one word. But I wanted to ask to y'all, what are the biggest threats to queer nightlife at this time?
In one word.
Yeah, I mean, I would say gentrification. Like you need spaces, you need regular access to them. And that kind of sums up the way that it stays hard to keep a venue and to keep trust.
Financial disparity, whether that's the people coming to the event, the venues, me, never ever booking a single person I haven't paid their rate ever. Added expenses, grumpy asshole neighbors to venues who send the state police to shut down parties because they know that that's different. If they're permanent parties, the police walk through, they like, honestly, they can be cool 1% of the time. And that 1% is when they're like, seems like okay to me. It really don't be the local police that cause issues. It's them state boys who come through armed, visually armed, with the specific intention of intimidating people. And I'm talking to you, Trace Brewing's neighbors. If you don't know, now you know, nigga.
Was it nightlife or queer nightlife specifically?
Tell us.
Yeah. Okay. So I think the biggest threat to queer nightlife specifically is erasure. I think, as I sort of alluded to earlier, I think that Black, queer, and trans people do a lot of cool shit. The dust settles. White people come along and they're like, look at this really cool thing. Love Madonna, but think about Vogue and ballroom and how that worked. And putting it on the map, but then in a lot of ways, not understanding that like their access to things or whatever, position, socioeconomics, race, creates a certain, it puts like the power or ownership proprietarily, that's the word, into their hands. And then, like sometimes it can do a little bit of harm. And then all of a sudden we're written out of the narrative. And so it's not like Black trans people in ballroom started Vogue, Ging, Madonna did. And then you have to go back and do your history and do all the digging. And it's like, we all know, but people at large, the community at large credits her. And the people that she brought along with her, but there are many other people who were all involved, not just the people who were Madonna's friends or danced for her or whatever. So I use that and it's the same today. Spaces go away. We're not documented. We don't get the credit. And then the spaces, whenever they reemerge, or the genre of music or the type of party or raves, which are Black life, queer lifeline, historically, the credit goes away and ownership gets stripped from you, and then all of a sudden you're on the outside looking in, and people are like, "What is this Black bitch doing here?" And it's like, "Girl, this is my space. What do you mean?" Erasure. I think that's the biggest threat.
So we got gentrification, erasure, and financial disparity. That's some real rap. Diving further into this, how do to y'all? Oh, this ring. Oh, can I just? There's always one. There's always one. But I just want to ask, how do y'all think economics and politics impact who gets access to these spaces and how we create these spaces? Like, we got politics of the club, we got politics of the government, very different angles you could take this.
I mean, one place that we didn't talk about, and I don't know for sure that it was necessarily part of your like map and timeline of being in Pittsburgh, but Shadow Lounge in East Liberty is a huge loss, right? And I think about East Liberty with Chris Ivy's documentaries being a really good entry point for people to think about how quickly a neighborhood becomes unrecognizable, like multiple times over. And so there's the destruction of the housing in East Liberty that needed repair, but instead it's like it's gone, right? And similar with Penn West. I don't know if anybody knew Celeste Smith, but there's that glorious photo of her sitting on the couch in the middle of the street. Yeah, R.I.P. Celeste Smith. And people like that putting their lives on the line, saying you're not going to move me, is a really big part of the same kinds of ways that people are pushed around the city. So when I'm using that word, I'm thinking about how the phenomenon of it, right, is that you could feel uninvolved in a process that's going on around you, but one way or another, it's going to affect you materially, like right now. You're going to wake up and it's happening. And I think that's the starting point for a lot of activists who realize they no longer have the luxury of waiting until it hits them. And so people like her, I think, are really important to honor, and her son, who is also a phenomenal person. But the spaces that are gone now, like Shadow Lounge, were these incredible mixtures of audiences, right? They weren't defined specifically as queer or not queer. Although I think it was a primarily like Black space in terms of arts and culture. And that's an important part of the history of East Liberty, which is not, it's, the entirety of the neighborhood's history, but it's, I think when I look around East Liberty and I see the empty mixed storefront, retail, condo, like massive towers blocking out the sun, it just makes me really nostalgic for even as late as like 2012, when the neighborhood felt so different from it was now, and even more different than it had been 10 years before. And nostalgia is tricky because I think nostalgia is like a feeling when you almost want to imagine the past in a way you never got to experience it. It's really mournful for me. It's like a thing that you can't let go. So it's not going to make me feel better. It's not going to fix any problems for me. But coming back to the question of like, what does that word mean for me in terms of its threat to queer nightlife or nightlife in general, is that you might feel like you're getting lucky with a place being under the radar, but the things that move around to make it so that your rent can jump 200%, or you have new neighbors that you don't know about who don't think that it's your problem that they don't want to live next to a club. The police listen to them more than they listen to us. And something that I would have said about security that I really appreciated hearing from both of you, because the planning is everything, like being prepared for things that haven't yet happened. Lucky used to sit, and other employees, in a truck in the parking lot with a radio, and they would make sure that nobody walks into that building that they don't know what's happening. And they had they would pick buildings that had vestibules, so like you don't just walk into the club. There's like there's a door and then a door. And yeah, this thing about how they survived that I write in like my dissertation is about how casual corruption is what made that world work. And casual corruption works very differently depending on who you are and who has power. So like if you've been paying the cops for 30 years because you've also been getting gigs as a bartender for 30 years, and the people that own that building think that you're like kind of distantly related or culturally related, that can really protect you. But even then, that crazy raid that happened in the 80s, that took them by surprise. And part of what happened is that the state level policies started to change. So like the LCB, the Liquor Control Board, used to send kind of like civil servant agents out. And through this lifetime of running clubs, you might get a call ahead of time if you are on the regular, because raids are actually a very regular thing. Like it's part of how the PLCB operates, but they weren't always violent and they don't need to be. There's no good reason for them to be. And they didn't always involve troopers and they didn't always involve police. They sometimes were just like people with a badge and a clipboard. And so when that started to change, either people that used to be on Lucky's side or other bar owners' side suddenly have a very different job and a different level of authority, but also new people who you don't know. And like you were saying, if they don't live in the city, it's like how you have a city full of cops that don't live in the city and you can't trust them to like proactively think about de-escalation, to think about saving somebody's life, because that should be the priority. It's really hard when you feel alienated from them and they're alienated from you. So like, again, gentrification is about people suddenly finding themselves awash in a place that used to feel like home. And I think that's what it feels like when a club up and disappears.
It like you said, if you don't have a protector spirit, you have no fucking business hosting parties or really working in a leadership role in nightlife. You just don't. It's not about you, and you have to think about putting other people first. It's easy to be like, oh, you're the star and you're playing and people are loving your set or whatever. But like, there are a lot of people who want to do it for that. They throw parties or whatever. They want to be famous DJ and all these other things. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's a perk, right? Who doesn't want to be famous, and renowned for your work? But yeah, you gotta be. If you're not really dedicated to this and community building, and you're not a protector, and you don't have like either the foresight or wherewithal to go to a security guard or whoever and say this person needs to go, or the balls to go step to the person who needs to go and be like, get the out of my party. Don't do this. Like, just don't. You have to have a like maternal mother personality and value system to do this. So, what was the question?
Really just asking about how you all think like politics, economics across various, planes and levels affects, how we access these spaces and how we create them.
Okay, politics and economics. So, politics, I think you look at all right. So I said earlier a few times how about world building, community building, and like being a safe space and what that means. It's politics. It's like an alcove, a hideaway, like a safe house or haven from like the violent politics that are afflicting black, brown, and queer people, trans people especially. So politics is, at least on my end, means everything, because that means if shit's fucked up in the world and the politics aren't right. Sorry, people at home, for all the Christians watching. I apologize. I like a F-bomb, so makes me feel good. Do you guys like any swears in here? Anybody like this? Yeah, round of applause if we like the word fuck. It's my favorite. Yes. But yeah, so when shit's wrong in the world and things are getting weird and things are getting dark, as a safe space, you have to be aware of that. You have to navigate those political challenges. It changes everything. It changes how you promote, changes how vocal you are. How do I promote this party and get people to come? At the end of the day, I mean, I'll be real. Like, this is my career. This is Honey's career. This is what we do. However, it's that fence that I talked about earlier. Like, we want to make money, you want to have people come and you want, all these things so you can pay your rent or, I don't know, buy yourself a Chipotle bowl or something. But but you also sometimes you have to like make sacrifices. Like sometimes, for example, 5801 has a Latin night, and they like don't promote it because they know if they put that out there, it's gonna make people potentially be like sitting ducks for ICE to come up in that bitch, fuck shit up. So they don't promote it. That means they don't necessarily make much money or as much money as they would have if they would have gone like full blast promoting it, but they had to make a choice to keep people safe. So I thought that was a great decision on their behalf. Talking about like certain language and stuff that's being weaponized and politicized, the word trans, LGBTQ, pride, things of that nature. I'm always thinking about, fuck, like I'm over here like luring people into this space as a safe space on social media. Like, hey guys, come here. Like this space is for you. I'm doing all this for you. Come, frolic, celebrate, twirl. But there's also this haunting thing in the back of my mind. Like if the people that I am casting this net for are taking this bait on social media and they're seeing it, it's reaching them and they're like, yes, like this space is for me. I'm going to go to that. If they're seeing that, the psychotic, sick, evil, vile people that are obsessed with them and are obsessed with harming them and harming us, they're also seeing it too. And so it's sort of haunting how like you got to tell people about, things that you're doing, but sometimes you got to consider how you do it. And, especially under this like administration, I mean, I've been thinking about like, cause also like Meta, and shit, they're like flagging accounts who specifically host events and create spaces or cater towards queer and trans people. So all of these things, all of it is politics. And it changes the way we do everything, because now you're like, should I call this a queer party? Should I make things be symbolic? All right, here, like, so this was a graph I found from a queer New York City archive from the 80s or something. And that was going to be the photo for Twirl Pride. And so changes I've made, like I suppose I'm telling the world that I do this now, but how do I let people know this is queer without putting a target on your back whenever you come here? So I say things like your favorite house music party, but cuntier. I use sort of colloquialisms now instead of being so blatant and blunt with my messaging so that people know it's for them. But I'm also trying to gatekeep and keep as many negative, bad people out of this space as possible. So yeah, politics is everything. And then the economics of it all. Oh God, I mean, where do you even start? The venues don't want to pay you. People, people aren't going out as much anymore. I think people, when it comes to nightlife, you have to have a reason to want to be somewhere. Like you shouldn't, just because you have a cool club, it looks cool, it sounds good, the lights are good, the fog machine is like 100,000 miles an hour, whatever. That means nothing. Like any white person with money can buy some shit and make it nice. I think that it takes a lot more convincing now. And I think that is shocking nightlife professionals that have been doing this for a really long time, because people are longing for that community aspect. People don't really give a fuck what your club looks like. That's why people will still go and rather go to Lucky's, which literally sits on a sliver of a corner in the Strip District now. It looks like Charlie Bucket's house from... it does. There's no shade, but it's like literally does.
I always thought it looked like the house from Up.
Yeah, it's just this like thing. Like people who aren't from here, they probably drive by and like, what the hell is that? That's weird. I'm not going there. But they're not aware of all the magic that happens inside. But anyway, so anyway, I say all that to say there's a reason for that. There's a reason they're able to stay open. For all intents and purposes, it's like, I mean, it's not like the Taj Mahal. But it means something to people, and people love going there. It doesn't matter if you walk up the stairs and you're like, okay, here we go, we're going upstairs. And you feel like the floor is going to fall in or whatever. Like cigarette smoke is burning your eyes. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's a place that, despite its history, has proven itself to people over time and has trust. And people would rather go somewhere that they trust versus somewhere that it looks cool to post on social media or Instagram. Not everybody, of course. I'm sure, and that's also no shade. Like, shit, I want to have the cocktails with the fucking dry ice smoke coming out of it and flames around the ring, and the fucking cocktail that, I don't know, slaps you on the ass or whatever the hell it does. I want that shit too for the gram. Sometimes that's fun, but those are things that are sort of like fly by night. They're very showy. They're for the algorithm, and they're at the end of the day soulless. And that's why places like Lucky's that have been around for so long are able to outlast and outlive some of the other clubs, like say some of the clubs on the South Side that have gone through 6 or 7 different name changes in the past 5 years. I went to Devils and Dolls before it was Avalon or whatever it is now. It constantly changes. And that's because there's not a true purpose. People want purpose.
Oh, and an important thing about that with Lucky's is that Nancy owns that building. She's an owner-operator, right? And I'm sure y'all have had this with venues where whoever owns the building does not run that institution. And that lack of communication means that you can be shut out with no warning whatsoever. It's really important to find ways to take land back from people who are just using it to scrape off revenue.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Then that's the whole point, right? Honey and I go through this all the time. Do you have hummus up here with my, it's zero sugar Pepsi. Missing all my innocence in the backseat. Is that the song? Yep. Yes. All right. So, but yeah, that's the whole point of this, right? Is that so venues are struggling. So what do? Whenever they're struggling, they open this really cool club. People thought it was cool. They stopped going, and all of a sudden it's what do we do? Who do they call? Who you gonna call? Black person. Ghostbusters. And then we come in. And then all of a sudden, here, Honey and I are, now they want that culture. They want that thing that's missing. We're not always going to be the people's first pick for a lot of things. And oftentimes we aren't. There's shit that opens here all the time. Places that I have emailed directly, hey, I saw pictures of your new spot floating around on Instagram, and I would love to DJ here.
Name them. Sea Monkey.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Right.
I'm about to name stuff.
Period. All right. So we're
Make it plain.
I mean, god damn. I emailed them.
In 2 minutes, we're going to open for questions.
15, sorry. Right. So twice. I emailed them twice. I've never got booked to be there, but whatever. Anyway, so eventually they'll call somebody and as time goes on, they'll call Honey and I, and we'll go and we'll try to fix it, or not fix it, but infuse some culture in there. And anyway, then we get that responsibility, and when shit's not working out or whatever, then all of it, they just kind of discard you. If people aren't coming and showing up and supporting, we've spoken about this publicly many times. If you guys don't come to the spaces that we're crafting or whatever, you stop showing up, then they no longer have a purpose for us, and we are discarded. And that's what was really scary about Cobra closing, right? When my main party, my brand is called Twirlville. My party, the namesake party, is Twirl. That's where Twirl was at Cobra. And so when that closed, I'm like, what am I going to do? Do I not have this party anymore? What's going to happen? So yeah, it's very fortunately, I had Bottle Rocket that was we'll take you, we love you, and it's nice. So now it's at Bottle Rocket, but very easily, I could have not had anywhere to place that party, and it would have just disappeared, as many other things do. So basically, I say all of that to say, in terms of economics, it plays a very big role. People don't have money. People don't want to come out to support just because you have a cool bar or club. They need to have a reason to want to come. You have to prove yourself to people that they should come support you. You got to maintain that. You got to stay extremely honest with yourself and keep it real, and never lose sight of why you do what you do. In order to maintain that relationship with your people. And if people don't drink as much anymore, but many people are sober, they prefer non-alcoholic beverages or other means of partying.
Liquor's too expensive.
Liquor's expensive as hell. How about I went to Mary's the other day, right? Because I DJ Garfield Pride. $3 for a tequila soda. I jumped to heaven. So shout out to Mary's because they keeping the drinks real cheap over there. Yeah, I know. I'm like, what is this? What is this?
Be $3.
$3 fucking dollars. It was it was happy hour though. But anyway, so yeah, people like it's harder to convince people to want to party because COVID made everybody be like, I'm staying in the fucking house in my pajamas and ordering DoorDash. I'm one of them. People don't have the money. The economy's fucked up. That's all politics. People don't have the money to spend. People don't want to spend the money. People are choosing to be sober. So there's a big shift in like get how we get people to come out or why. And the bars make money and the clubs make money, not off of necessarily ticket sales, but bar sales. So it's not just like coming and you guys may all come into our events and support us, but if you're not buying drinks, the venues don't see any value in us because we're the ones who are like selling we're making money off of the door. The venue's not paying us, right? So like we make money off of ticket sales. If there are no ticket sales, that's one thing. We don't get paid. We're broke. And hopefully your landlord like thinks you're hot or something. I don't know. Or has a crush on you and lets you not, if we do have a bunch of ticket sales and it's sold out and it's the best night ever, that's great. But you guys all pre-gamed, in the car before you came here. Maybe you're not drinking. You just want to come dance and drink water. The venue's like, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, there were like 300 people, but nobody spending money. So fuck you. So it's tough. So sometimes it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many people come or what you're doing. Like, so many people can come. There are other things that are weighing against us economically that impact us. And then ultimately, if it's not working out, the venue closes or maybe they get rid of you because you're not making them money. So money has to do with everything. And then we still have like, I don't know, I'm just going off. Sorry, I'm kind of going off right now because it's fucking annoying. Like it's really, that's the toughest part about the whole thing is like the money aspect of it. And then you put so much weight on yourself financially. Like it becomes you think that how much money you're making for this venue is like a reflection of your worth and your ability. And it's not. And so it sucks. And it's a lot that we shouldn't have to think about, but we do. So it's like getting us in the venues is one thing and in the spaces and occupying them is one thing. What happens when we're there is a whole other thing. And yeah, so that's my story about economics and how it is constantly playing a role in what we do with nightlife. So yeah.
And still we
Are you done?
I'm sorry, that's stressing me to fuck. Like, because I'm a little tight about it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Honey and I,
we do. We have this conversation like
very recently. I mean,
so the tea is that politics. I always say that being born like a Black queer woman is my personhood was politicized before I even had a choice whether to get involved in politics. My entire existence is kind of politics, which is fine with me, actually. Number one, just which I think would be very poignant to mention right now, is the 10-year anniversary of Pulse Nightclub is June 12th. So that popped in my head as we've been talking about like safety and accountability. Yeah, I don't know how to tie that in specifically, but I just did want to mention that because it keeps coming in my heart, this entire conversation. And that's just something I still think about because I had never been to Pulse, but I was actually born in Denver, Colorado. I moved to New York when I was in like the second grade. And it's just that there's a difference in nightlife in all of these cities, right? Like when you're in the Orlandos and the Denvers and the Arizonas, there's just something a little bit different about gathering as queer people in these kind of spaces, and that just rocked my world when that happened. I also want to say that while there is a ton of places that maybe don't want to work with Ron because they think SMB, well, first of all, SMB is just too big to be in a club at this point. But there was a lot of people that didn't want to work with them because they didn't want a whole bunch of niggas in there. They didn't want a lot of hood people. They thought that party was really hood. It's really not. Like, Cypress is so not hood. But it is a very Black ass party.
The word is metrosexual.
Right. There Well, then there's also the misconception, actually, that Slappers Jam. I had a brain fart like motherfucker. That Slappers started out as a queer event. No, it did not. Slappers was never a queer event, but us being queer people, queer people started going and they were like, I like this music, because we like it. We like the hip hop in the queer community. They like the music. Ron is definitely like, I would say he's a big ally. He's a good person, Ari Cole. But it was never a queer event. It wasn't started with the intention of reaching out to queer community. It's just something that queer people went and made it theirs. And I love that. But the reason why it is hard for me sometimes in the mob specifically, and this is around me even getting booked in certain places, is because I am very political. I am very, very loudly pro-Palestine and have been for many, many years. And that is not to give me a cookie or nothing like that. I was just educated on it a little sooner than some people were because of just my father and my family were just really up on that, like my whole life, like the similarities and the connected movements between the Black Power movement and the Arab nation, the Nation of Islam, I can't even name them all right now, but also like, when Stop Asian Hate popped up and all that conversation happened, I'm like, we've been homies with these people. Our movements have been connected. My dad really like drilled that into me and my brother when I was little because he was a really big activist in the 60s. But there's being very vocal about that. Me and the mob are very vocal about those kind of movements. That has got me, that has not gotten me everywhere that I necessarily thought I wanted to be, but I also want to be nowhere that people don't want me and what I stand for. You very often see me with a lot of garb and stuff that just makes it very clear where my politics lie. And then there's the fact that even with me being a Black woman, there are people that would rather have Royce even than me. This is true. Yes, he's very flamboyant, he's very fabulous, and he's very, very identifiably gay as hell. But I am still a woman. I'm still a woman. In the queer shit, I don't even know how much that matters. It's really just that I want to work with a Black girl. That is a thing. I can be as Pittsburgh famous or whatever, and people think that I get whatever the fuck I want. No, I do not. I don't get everything I want. There are people that would even talk to Royce first before me. And that's obviously he's fucking talented and fab, and we love Royce. But a lot of that is political as well. They don't want to deal with womanhood. When I first started Scissor, it started at Brewers because Royce mentioned the underground. Royce wanted to give me a night there. I said, I'm making some dyke shit. I'm making some dyke shit. I've been waiting for this because a lot of the time I didn't have the audience to have a lesbian party. It was all the gay boys. The gay boys love me. I love you too, gay boys. But I was like, where are the girls? So when I finally felt like I had a population to carry its own party, that's why I started Scissor. But Brewers didn't really want that lesbian shit there. They really didn't. And when they could get rid of us, they got rid of us, only to still stay open. When I took Scissor to fuck ass P-Town, they didn't want that shit either, even though they begged for us to come there because by then it had got cracking. Money. That's when the money comes in. Like, oh, we don't like these bitches, but they want us there because also lesbians spend a lot of money. Like, we have a lot of money. Not me personally, but lesbians just historically be having a bag. So then P-Town wanted us so bad, only to treat us like shit. In case you didn't know, the owner of P-Town is a misogynistic, racist piece of shit. He just is. I have proof. Kayla has proof. We have first person accounts. People still go there. That's their choice. But the tea is that even the places that you see us operating, they don't even want us there all the time. When we finally took Scissor to Cobra, which I should have just hunted a goddamn Cobra in the first place because that was the perfect place. And then now they're goddamn closed and we're opening it back up. But that's why. For the fact that this venue that closed down to only open up one night only for a lesbian party, let's go Cobra. Like, period. Yeah. I love them. The owner, Derek, rich white man, lives in California. Coolest rich white man I've ever met. Usually hate them, but he is cool as hell. So like these are the real politics. Is that sometimes even when I'm like, I would love to say I don't want to party there if you don't want me, but sometimes I'm like, well, ain't nowhere left, and just keep it cute. Because then I'm like, we don't even have to be friends. I don't give a fuck if you like me. Actually, you better make sure like that everything is in place the way that we discussed. I better have the security guards I want. I better have the door people that I want. You better run me my money. And that's really it, just to at least have somewhere to take people. But these are, when you see us skipping around to venues, just know that there's usually like it's all politics and economics behind that. as well.
I know I'm so sorry, Ethan. I know we're trying to wrap and get to questions. I just gotta say this. When we stop making these white venue owners money, that's where narratives come into play. And then that's whenever we really start getting pushed out of spaces. Because if I have a bad night, this is theoretically, right? Speaking right now, nowhere that I'm at right now. If I have a bad night, this has happened to me in the past. It's happened to Honey. You don't make as much money at the door immediately. Like, they were fucking waiting for this bad night to happen so that they could say, this event isn't making me any money. You got to get out of here. And then you stop seeing people like us in these spaces because the narrative comes in. Oh, well, I would have an event like this, but this group of people doesn't spend money. This group of people doesn't tip. This group of people, fucked up my bathroom. One bad thing, like, we are under a fucking microscope as Black queer people in life, and especially in the nightlife industry. One bad thing could happen. Somebody could throw a drink in somebody's face at Twirl. All of a sudden it's going to be, well, I would have Rojo, but, and I'm not saying that this is what would happen now in the space that I'm at, because I haven't experienced anything like that there yet. But I have had this happen in other places where, somebody might throw a drink on somebody and all of a sudden it's, well, I would have another party similar to Rojo, but I don't want people like Rojo's crowd in here because they're violent, because one person threw a drink. Like, they start associating things. They start creating narratives and stories and attaching things negatively to you. And so I'm just saying all of that to say, happens with the money, happens with the behavior. We are under a microscope. And then they take what that one singular experience they had with this Black queer person or this Black queer person, and then they attach it to all the other Black queer people who come in there. Oh, well, they don't spend any money, so we're not going to prioritize them. Then they stop prioritizing Black queer events. They stop prioritizing Black queer patrons. They don't even want, and at that point, they don't even want your money. Like, that's the thing. It gets to a point where they don't even want your money. Like, you're just not worth the trouble to them. They would rather have, their status quo. White people come in and do whatever, straight people, whoever. So I just want to throw that out there too. Like, it's some sinister shit that we deal with.
And that is why I say to organize is to alchemize, especially when it comes to organizing in spaces like these. It takes a lot more than many of us ever would believe, ever to think. I never knew how much it took to go into creating a safe space for us unsafe people to exist prior to stepping into this work. But all that work that y'all do does not go unnoticed. It does go unnoticed because we have a good time. But it doesn't go unnoticed because we have a space to have a good time. And for that, we thank you for doing that work. And we thank you, Harrison, for documenting the work of those that have been doing it before, so we know to learn the lessons of the past to make sure that, we do it again, and we do it again with stain and with stick to make sure it stays. So give my panelists a round of applause, please. Thank you. But before we, yes, and give our interpreters a round of applause again, please. But before we close it up, I did want to open it up in case anybody had questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, ruminations, pensations, deliberations, anything. Your house.
Hi. Okay. Is the microphone doing anything weird? Or are we good? Okay, work. Hi, I'm Cole. You said house number? If we give it numbers, I'm gonna say 00 Mainstream. I mean Kiki. Revlon Mainstream, sorry. Oh my god. Yeah, no, let's just I am so sorry, y'all. So I really appreciated that you brought up just how, like, living in an intersectional identity that is like Black queerness, that we are constantly under a microscope. And I know you also mentioned like the things that you consider safety wise with social media and like promotion for events. I know you're probably mostly have answered this question to bring up already, but like as as we are more dependent on technology and social media and I think just like the state and the government has a lot more access to our data. What are the things that, like, I guess, like, you don't need to necessarily have an answer to this question right now, but something I have been thinking about is how do we safely document and communicate amongst one another while we are under this microscope? And like, would we be able to like archive and stuff without too much involvement from the state?
Yeah. So there are definitely, I mean, that's something that I've had to more recently start considering now. I've had people reach out and be like, hey, I don't really want like this photo of me on Instagram. Like, could you take this down or whatever? So I think a lot of it has to do with like just making sure, being flexible, first of all. Like at the end of the day, like I want what I do to be archived. And I want people to know that like we were here and like we did this fucking shit. And like it's also really cool for me to look back and be like, oh my God, these are my friends. And like you're probably one of the most like photographed and videoed people at some of my parties all the time. And so we also live in a digital age. And so I suppose like just trying to use a bit more like discernment whenever photographing. I really love candid shots, but I've considered like phasing candid shots out of my photography. I take all my own photos at the club until I start making some more money and I can afford to pay other people to shoot, which I think Cole will talk about. Anyway. Cole's an amazing photographer, by the way. That's the one thing that he did not tell you guys. So basically, yeah, I've considered what type of photographs I'm taking, what type of video content I'm taking. I have started shooting like from the back of the club. So it's really just like the back of people's face or maybe a slight profile. So I've been trying to do that. And then when it comes to like front-facing photography, just asking, hey, are you cool if I take your picture for our Instagram page? Pretty much as simple as that. And at that point, it's like you kind of trying to make sure that people have the right to choose whether or not they want to be surveilled. Like if I were to lose my content that I'm posting? Buy a shit ton of cloud storage, I suppose.
Truth, he just got all their stuff taken down.
Really? Oh yeah, the account deleted.
What they could do.
Account deleted. So yeah, that's the thing. It's like I guess investing in cloud storage, just in case. I also have been trying to not even cloud storage, because like they could easily be like, hey, cloud's gone. So I have hard drives. Yeah, I have my Lacey hard drive that I've been using since college. It's the same one. And I back everything up on that hard drive. I have music on there, photographs, video from the club. So really trying to do that. And then at the end of the day, like, I think if something were to happen, I mean, I love the idea of archiving and showing like beautiful fucking people in the spaces that we're all in together. But I think that at the end of the day, if like Meta today were to be like, hey, we're taking your account down, fuck it. I guess it is what it is. And like, we'll have the memories. I think it's great to have something to memorialize what you're doing. But if not, I guess shit sort of happens. And I think it's really like the memories that count and how you've experienced the moment. Mm-hmm.
Cole took my mic. Just kidding. Ethan took it. I do think about that a lot with not just True Tea. A lot of like my friends in like similar industries have gotten hit with shit like that. Even like if you not that you would, but if you're bored one day, if you go back on the mob a couple years, a lot of our early scissor promos are completely gone because they were collabed with the underground Instagram, which Rojo ran, and then he deleted the account. And for some reason, even though those posts originated with the mob and were collabed with them, it's almost like there was a bug where they thought the underground made the post, and so they're gone. So shit like that is devastating. It really pissed me off because I do consider in some ways the mob account to be way more than just promotion. Like I even go back and look at it when I'm making our roundups at the end of every year. Like this is every single DJ and performer and host and drag queen that I use our Instagram to compile that list. However, everything of ours is completely archived offline. I'm constantly downloading it. I also like own all the photos. Either I'm shooting it or Kay is shooting it, or Dawn Hartman is our main photographer that we use for the mob. And those are all archived offline. We have a newsletter that I'm trying, like it's been around for years now, but I'm really trying to push people more to that to get like their news from about mob and where we're gonna be, because there is gonna be a time where we're like doing way less on Instagram. Another thing you might notice it now, is for some godforsaken reason, every single thing I post on Mob lately, it's like, this is AI. It tells me that my content is AI. These are pictures I took. These are pictures Dawn took. There's no AI on the Mob account. But for whatever reason, every single damn post, it now says, it just does it automatically. I have no idea why. And I've asked, and people are like, maybe it's something in the metadata. I'm like, except for like processed in Lightroom, I don't know. But even if I go and delete the metadata before I post it just to play around with stuff, it's still, it makes me wonder if there's not, I mean, I think I'm a conspiracy theorist at this point, where I'm like, I feel like everything is being labeled as AI now. So we truly don't even know the difference at this point. Like when you label literal pictures, I'm like, this is my homie. Like I know them and I took this picture. This is not an AI picture. They've told me pictures of me are AI. I'm like, that's definitely me. This is the picture that was sent to me from Dawn, who is a professional photographer. It makes me think that labeling actual real content, because now we're worried right now about things that are AI being labeled as real. But if real content is labeled as AI, how the hell are we ever going to know at this point? So I think the whole shit is a conspiracy. We know Meta is evil as fuck, so there is going to come a time where we move away from it completely. But for now, everything is backed up offline, and at any such time that we do like depart, I'm just gonna delete that shit myself. Like I'd rather delete it before I let them delete it. And even with protecting people's privacy, like we do have a photo and video release. However, we also, like, Dawn will come for 2 hours of a party. She'll come for like half of a 4-hour party and shoot, so people know she's very obvious because she hears a big ass, like there's a lot of light. She'll be there's like a light, and then Mo is holding another light, and then like you're being photographed at my parties. I have had a couple people ask to take shit down over the years, and some of that is also photos that they're like, and they pose for it, but they're like, I don't like this girl anymore. We broke up, and half of me is like, baby, ain't nobody going back 2 years on her account to see a picture of you and your girl on the 6th slide. But I usually like 80% of the time I will take it down. Sometimes I just won't, because I guess I am a bitch sometimes. But it's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, with mainly around the AI stuff. I guess I also should think about it in terms of like our safety and us being identifiable in these spaces. But right now, my complete focus is on how evil artificial intelligence is, and how it's like literally, I've had photographer friends have their pictures taken in like animated, I don't even know what to call it, turn into a fake video using their photograph. That's happened to photographer friends of mine. The fingers look really pretty good now, and that is what is creepy. They've almost figured out the hand. Next, sorry.
Our last question.
Hi, I'm Trio. It's nice to meet everybody. It's a pleasure to be here.
Big fan.
I do want to say thank you for bringing up Shadow Lounge and that being such an inclusive space, regardless of sexuality. From what I understand, I hear so many conversations from Daryl at Boom Concepts where are these Black parties? Like, it seems like the gays have so much better music, but like, I don't know if it's safe enough for us to go there. Like, is it okay for us to be there? So I just did want to say thank you to bringing that up. And then Rojo, also, thank you for letting everybody know that Twirl is an inclusive space. Just respect the space. My question is geared towards our dance floors and technology. That's something that is like a major concern for me because I am dancer first, and I've realized that the climate on the dance floor has significantly changed just based on where I've grown up. And then, like, you know, I saw you at Ada's Hotel, and we're in this very small room with a ton of seats everywhere, and yet no one's feeling reserved. They want to be able to be pride, like to have their pride, to move freely. And I think that in your spaces, Rojo and Honey, you do this very well. But I have seen the shift significantly where people are either being extremely performative to the point where it's kind of like cringe, or we're getting to the point where everybody feels so cringe about being captured in that moment, where we have venues like Hot Mass where they're constantly talking about we cannot have phones in these spaces. It's not safe for have phones in these spaces. I understand the safety aspect, but I think I want to hear more of your perspective on the dancing party controlling the dance floor aspect of it all.
I have thought about that because a lot of my friends that throw parties in other cities are starting to ban phones on the dance floor. Nowadays, which is my favorite club in America, in New York City, you can have phones just not on the dance floor. We have not decided to ban phones quite yet because honestly, we don't see a lot of phones on our dance floor with the mob. When I do look through, like I'll throw up a video. Everybody's looking at me for some reason. That's another thing. That's another topic for another day. Yes, I'm all for decentering me. Like, you don't have to look at me. I'm always like this. Like, honey, you're okay. I'm like, I'm concentrating. There's 3 songs playing in my ear at the same time. But when I do look up, and occasionally I will be the one taking the video, and I don't really see phones. However, I am kind of concerned about the shift because you're far from the only person to say that. I don't know that I want to necessarily ban phones from the dance floor. I don't even necessarily know if that would change anything. I think I need to think about it a little more, maybe observe it a little more, because
I also think it takes away from that documentation that we've been kind of driving
and
here.
It's just even there's a lot of stuff that I capture that I don't even put up because it wasn't really for that. It's just cute little moments, just clowning, just fun, just to even help me attach my memory to things, because I am honestly worried about my brain at this point, and my forgetfulness. But there is a shift, and I think it also is in some ways existed before, where nobody wants to be the first person to dance. The self-consciousness. I think also there's a lot of venues that are not necessarily conducive as a dance floor. Like, vibe is everything. And I don't think there's one venue I can really think of in Pittsburgh at this point, at least not that we operate, where I think oh, this is the perfect dance floor. The New York girlies are really, really intense about that. A lot of the newer clubs like Signal in New York City are specifically dance floor first clubs. The sound is even like that. The position of the DJ booth can get in the way of the dance floor, but I would love you to submit a report double-spaced about that as a dancer, Jasmine, because I think that's really good. I think that's a great question. I think it's a great thing to think about, because at the end of the day, if nobody's dancing at the party, it's not giving. And I think us as queer people, we definitely dance one in the streets. We definitely do. There's been so many slappers I've stopped in, and I'm like, everybody looks pissed and mad, or everybody is just staring at the 8 big booty girls shaking ass, and everybody else is just standing around staring at it, and it's just weird. I had that experience at the last rave I played in LA, where people were, they were, I don't know, that's a whole nother topic too. That's a drug thing. That's something called G. I ain't never seen it. I don't know what it looks like. But that makes people look like zombies and things like that. Well, don't do it. It's not healthy, and it's spooky. And so I think, anyway, I say all that to say there is a combination of issues, in my opinion, as far as the shifting tide on whether people are dancing whether people are self-conscious, whether people are doing too much. I think that's a multi-issue thing that we have to tackle as a nightlife community.
Yeah. I think we're in a digital age. So we got to we have to make some space for technology on the dance floor. We don't have to, it's a choice. But I like to look back and see videos of people carrying and living their life the next day after a party. I want to see me. I'm like, what was she doing? What was I up to last night? I love reflecting and looking back at that footage. I mean, we're also, all of us are old enough to have gone to nightclubs where you go to the club, that fucking photographer is taking your photo and you are on the website the next goddamn day.
300 photos.
300, the whole photo gallery, every photo. So you might be no color. So you might be posing with your girl the 1 second and the next minute, you know, we're doing whatever. Unflattering, underneath the chin and everything. So I'm not as bothered really by it. But I think, so on one hand, like for right now, I'm still allowing technology on my dance floor because I want to capture these moments myself. I'm out there with my phone or my cameras. Taking video or photos. And unfortunately, because we are in a digital age, a lot of us rely on that content to promote the party, to get people to want to come in the first place. Because there is definitely a big push for people to, how I mentioned earlier, they need more of a reason, and it's a harder sell to get people out nowadays. And so sometimes they do want to see people in action. They want to see that dance floor filled. They want to see those things. So maneuvering that and figuring out it's all about balance. So like I said, shooting from the back of the club, only shooting back shots or profile or back shots, or profile, or being very clear. Hey, can I take your photo for this? Also knowing if you're taking the photographs or if you have photographers taking the photographs, like knowing when to back off too. Like, not every moment has to be like, if somebody is like living their fucking life and doing whatever and they are like doing dips, you know, whatever the fuck, leave them alone sometimes. Like, right? Like you don't have to capture every moment. And that's just my opinion. Like sometimes you are doing too much. I feel that same way about like microphones at parties with hosts. Like that's a whole other thing. But, you know, like you don't have to like hover over people. So I think it's just, or scream. So I think it's just about like understanding vibes and reading the room and partying. That's another thing. Like we like to party. We work in this industry because we're true to this, you know, not because we saw a boiler room set like whenever and decided we want to be like a super cool festival ass bitch, which is fabulous. But like there are other reasons why we do it. We do it because we love music, we love entertaining, and we love partying. And we've all been touched on the dance floor in real life by people performing and DJing. And so we're DJs who love DJs. And we are nightlife workers who love nightlife. So therefore, like I think just being aware of that, we actually enjoy it. So it's like, what would you want somebody to have, you know, their camera all in your face whenever you're like singing the lyrics out loud to Donna Summer? Probably not. So I think it's that. And can you, Trio, what was the rest of your question? And how it affects the dance floors? Yes. People with phones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, right. So, first of all, I mean, we are the first point of like, I don't know, contact or whatever. Like, you're as a DJ, and you know this, you're a DJ. You're like in a fishbowl, right? Everybody's looking at you. Honey talked about that. I think defaming the DJ a bit and like stop making the DJ so much of a spectacle, because for that's a big part of it. Everybody's just like watching, right? DJs are like a kind of weird now. Like it's not how, like, we don't just play music. Like, they look at you and they're looking to you, the DJ, to like set a vibe and be up there dancing and whatever, and hopping around and doing the big performance, because that's what they see on YouTube from the festival stages and stuff. And so that's what they've grown to expect. So it's like, in a way, I think part of that shift has to deal with how we prioritize the DJ. Because now going to the club where you go see a DJ, it's almost more like going to a concert. You don't necessarily dance at concerts. You kind of, some people do, but a lot of times you just kind of stand and yes. And now you have the phone out. Sing it, Beyonce. That's my bitch. Oh, that's my song. Crazy Love, whatever. So yeah, I think we've grown to expect that sort of behavior. We prioritize DJs in a different way, and everybody's facing this way with their phones because it's like they're at a concert.
It's kind of our fault too, though.
It's our fault. Yeah. I mean,
I'm looking at the flyer for Passengers, it's like Hoodie XO, and then I'm like,
yeah,
get me.
Right. So what things that we do, right?
Yeah, we constantly have to like edit ourselves
all the time.
Think of how we can do things different.
Yeah. Like, okay, for example, like, I don't do headliner. Honey doesn't either. Like, we list all of our talent that we book for our parties the same. Like, so the opener is going to have the same size font as the bitch that's, playing at 11 o'clock at peak time. Like, so that's another thing that I've sort of implemented to sort of change that psychology of what happens inside of the club. In terms of phones on the dance floor and people dancing, I know that this is more directly your question. A lot of clubs and party promoters have implemented no phone policies. I haven't done that yet because I'm trying to figure out, how do I justify filming if I don't want other people on the dance floor to film. So that would mean me having to move towards I'm not like, there are no photographs. There's no video, no nothing at my parties. So, because how fair would that be for me to be like, snap? It's like in high school, whenever they take your phones, you're not allowed to text, but the teacher is over here like, yeah, I'm going to make that casserole tonight. And so I've thought about it. I'm trying to decide what to do about it, but that would mean completely sort of shifting what I do. And right now my brand is really built on being a celebratory space and archival and posting pictures and making it be this like place for people to really be excited to come to. And I would have to navigate towards a more like word of mouth promotion if I were to take that step, I feel. And I'm not necessarily ready to do that because I don't know that infrastructure exists here in Pittsburgh. The bitches want to know who all gonna be there. What's the vibe? They want the content. So I don't know. I feel like, shit. We don't have the answers yet to that. Yeah, all we can do is play the best music we can. Yeah, like, we're gonna keep playing good ass fucking music and like locking the fuck in at the booths and just hoping that people dance.
I have an answer.
What's your answer?
All of y'all that are here, make sure y'all hit every dance floor that you see here and dance.
Hello.
Be the change that you want to see in this world.
Yes.
On this floor.
Yes.
Okay?
Jazz be dancing.
Now that we're at time, I would like everybody to say, thank you, Harrison. Thank you, Rojo. Thank you, Honey XO. And thank you, Queer Quarterly. Happy Pride, y'all. Thank you all.